today we are going to start Java and Java fundamentals. Yesterday we have seen how much Java we required to start automation testing, and we are going to learn Selenium with Java language. Okay, so first few sessions we are completely focusing on Java, and then we'll move forward. So as part of today's session, I'm going to discuss a few more important topics which are very basic in Java. Like we'll see what is introduction about Java, what is Java, and what is object-oriented programming, and then we'll see how we can configuration will do. So how we can install Java, and we need also a kind of editor where we can write our Java code or Java programs. And a few topics from Java programming we can discuss, like Java variables, data types, and operators. Okay, so this is the agenda for today. Now let's start one by one. So basically, what is Java? So Java is a programming language. There are multiple types of programming languages, like we have structure programming language, and we have object-based programming language, and also we have object-oriented programming languages. There are three categories of languages we have. So structure programming language means we can write a code, but it doesn't support any object-oriented programming. So we'll discuss what are those object-oriented programming features in later sessions. And any programming language which doesn't support object-oriented programming concepts, they are all comes under the structure programming languages. Okay. And there are some languages which will partially support object-oriented programming concepts, especially class and object. So class and object. So these are the only two topics which are supported by languages. They are all comes under the object-based language. And there is another category called object oriented programming languages. So the programming or programming language will support multiple concepts like classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction. So these are all comes under the object oriented programming concepts. So the languages which are supported these features are comes under the object oriented programming language. Okay, so these are the three categories we have. So Java is comes under the purely object-oriented programming language. And not only Java, C Sharp is also there. C Sharp also comes under purely object-oriented programming language. And Visual Script, Visual Basic we have, or VB Script. So these languages are comes under the object-based languages. And the C language comes under the structure-oriented programming language. And Python is comes under both object oriented, object based, and structure. So all kinds of programming we can write. Okay, we can write in Java. So Java is basically object oriented programming language. All right, so that is the basic differences between structure programming language, object based programming language, and object oriented programming language. Okay, and Java is a most popular programming language nowadays, and it is owned by Oracle. So currently Oracle is a company which is taken care by Java. And basically Java used in multiple types of applications like mobile applications, desktop applications, web-based applications, and games, databases, and many more. So there are n number of applications currently using Java. Okay, so almost 50 to 60% of the people are currently using Java. And even for automation also, 60%, 70% of the people currently using Java as a uh, language which is used in automation. Now let us see why we use Java. Basically, what is the importance of Java? So when you compare with the other programming languages, so Java is basically installed on multiple operating systems, can be installed on multiple operating systems, and we can work with Java. It supports Windows, Mac, Linux, Unix, all other operating systems. Okay, that's a major reason. And we can also learn very simple, and it is basically open source, and it is secure, faster, and powerful. So these are basic features of Java. So because of that reason, we are going to learn Java. The one is because of popularity, and it is very popular language when you compare with other languages in the market. And the second thing is it supports multiple platforms. And moreover, Selenium itself is implemented by using Java itself. Okay, and because of these major regions, and also open source, it is freely available. We don't require any license. So because of these reasons, we are going to use Java as a language in automation. Okay, And now, so before going to Java, so we need to understand three important things: JDK, JRE, JVM. So JDK means Java Development Kit, JRE means Java Runtime Environment, JVM is Java Virtual Machine. So these three things are very, very important at the beginning level. You need to understand. So whenever you search for Java in online, so you will see these kind of keywords: JDK, JRE, JVM. So what is these three? So we need to understand very, very clearly. So JDK, JRE, JVM. So Java software is available in two different flavors. Okay, one is called as a JDK. So JDK is one flavor, and the other one is JRE. So when you are downloading Java also, you can see these two flavors. One is JDK, the other one is JRE. JDK means Java Development Kit, JRE means Java Runtime Environment. So what is the basic difference between JDK and JRE is, JDK means complete full Java software. So once you have installed JDK, you can work with Java. So because we can develop, we can write our code, we can develop an application, so we can do everything with Java. And if you install JDK, okay, it will come with all libraries which are coming from Java itself. So JDK means full complete Java software. And JRE, so there is another kind of flavor we have is JRE, Java Runtime Environment. So when I install only JRE without JDK, I can just run your Java applications, but I cannot implement the code. That means, suppose you have downloaded, you may observe something like you have downloaded some applications, and before installing of applications, it by default it will install some JRE component. So why? Because the applications which are developed using Java, if you want to install and work with those applications, you need a Java runtime environment. Okay, so even if you go for .NET applications also, if you are trying to install any applications which are developed by Microsoft, you need to install .NET framework. So that's a prerequisite. Okay, that will provide you a kind of runtime environment so that we can we can work with your applications, softwares. Similarly, if you want to install or work with any Java applications or applications developed by using Java, if you want to if you want to install and work with those applications in your system, first of all, you need to have JRE. So that will provide you runtime environment. So until unless you install JRE, you cannot install and work with your Java application. So that is another component. So if you install JDK, so JDK is a complete software. If you install JDK, inside this JDK, JRE is also part of it. Okay, you don't need to install JRE separately if you installed JDK. Okay, so JDK inbuilt contains a JRE, so Java Runtime Environment. But if you install JDK, you will get JRE. But if you install JRE alone, you cannot get a JDK. Okay, so remember this. And next one is Java JVM, Java Virtual Machine. This is another important component. So JVM is a part of JRE. So this is a subsection of JRE, Java Virtual Machine. So this is a main component which will compile your code and execute your code, converting your code into bytecode. So all internal activities are done by the JVM. So this is basically heart of your Java. Okay, so until unless JVM, you cannot work with anything else. But we don't need to install JVM separately. We don't have any separate software to install JVM alone. It is inbuilt in JRE. JVM is a inbuilt in JRE. So if you install JDK, by default, you will get JRE, JVM internally. And if you install only JRE, you will get JRE and JVM both. Okay, so basically JVM is there for everywhere. So if you have a Java environment or Java development kit installed in your system, so by default JVM will be there. So that is the main core component which will work with the Java. Internal changes will be done by the JVM. So these are the three important components we have in Java. So JDK, JRE, JVM. So JDK used for developing your Java applications. JRE is used for running your Java applications. JVM is used for compiling your Java code, and also converting your code into byte code, so that can be understandable by multiple platforms. So we can call it as a byte code. So byte code is nothing but is a machine code which we cannot understand, but the code is understandable by operating systems, multiple operating systems. So normally what happens is you will write code in Java, right? So Java language in normal English, but how other operating system will understand this language? So the same Java program can be executed on Windows, we can execute on Linux, we can execute on Unix and many more operating systems. But how is it possible how these operating systems will interpret your language? Because the code will not directly execute on these operating systems. As soon as we have executed our Java code, internally it will convert it into byte code. Okay, not understandable format is a machine language, and this bytecode can understandable by all operating systems. So who is doing this task is JVM is doing this task. So JVM will convert all your Java statements into bytecode, and this bytecode is available in the form of .class file. So when I create a Java program, the file extension will be .java. Once it is converted into bytecode, the file extension should be .class file. And this class file is understandable by all other operating systems. So that's the reason Java is become platform independent. Okay, so any platform, we can create a Java program in Windows and we can execute on some other operating system. So how it is possible? Because of JVM, because of bytecode. Okay, so here this picture is clearly see. So first we have created Java program. Once you compile the Java program, it will create the class file. So class file contains a bytecode. So this bytecode is executed on multiple platforms. So you can see this picture clearly here. Java code will be Java extension. Java compiler will convert it into bytecode, and JVM will execute this bytecode on multiple operating systems. So this is the internal structure of Java, but this is not much important for us because just basic understanding is important. Okay, that's the reason I'm just covering this topic, otherwise not required. Okay, this is the basic information about Java. So now we'll see how to install Java. So there are two things which we need to require before proceeding further. The first thing is we have to install Java. So first we need to we need to see how to install Java. That's the first thing. And second thing is we need an editor where we can write a Java program. So normally Java programs we can write in notepads or text pads, any other IDEs we can still use it, but they are not much comfortable because we are going to write complex automation code. So if I use normal notepad or text pad, it's not much comfortable for us. So we need a specific kind of editor and where we can start writing your Java code. So Eclipse is very popular editor. It's called as a IDE, Integrated Development Environment. So IDE is nothing but any kind of editor where we can just write a code. Even Notepad is also IDE. A text box, edit ++, notepad ++. So everything is an IDE. So suppose if you want to write something, I'm using notepad. Similarly, if you want to write a Java program or Java code, you need a special kind of editor, which will very helpful for us. So Eclipse is a popular editor which is available in the market. And there are some other editors also there. We have IntelliJ is also there. Okay. And there are multiple editors are there, but Eclipse is a very popular editor which we can use along with this Java. Okay, so first we'll see how to download these two and how we can install them, and then get ready with the writing your Java code. So first let us see how to install Java. It's very simple. Just go to your Google and just type download Java, and you will navigate to Oracle website. So this is your Oracle. Java is currently owned by Oracle. So till Java 10, there are a number of versions are there, and current version is Java 11 is going on. But till Java 10, everything is free. So Java is completely free. But from Java 11 onwards, Oracle is acquired Java. So now Oracle company is taking care of Java. So what they have done is they have separately they have make JDK and JRE separately. Okay, so JDK is available. The version of JDK is 11, and they have implemented. They have stopped implementing JRE. So till Java 8, JRE is present. So after Java 8, they are not implementing any JREs. So we have to download two components here. One is JDK we have to download, and JRE also should download. So previously it is not the case. So when you download JDK and install JDK completely, JRE is also part of JDK. But nowadays we need to download both and install both. JDK separately, JRE separately. And let's go to Oracle website. And here I will show you from where we have to download. So as soon as you started Oracle website, so you need to first of all sign up this particular website. There is a sign up process, and it is very simple and easy, just like a Gmail, Facebook account. You do sign up process, right? Similar way, you can also do sign up process for this particular website, and then only you can download all software from this particular website. So here, so this is an option we have to use. So Java platform JDK 11 is the latest version, or you can just go and use these buttons, or you can just come down here. You can see JDK JRE is there. Server JRE is different, JRE is different. So this JRE is normally used in the servers, real-time servers. But if you are working on local laptops and your desktops, you can just use this one, JRE, and JDK and JRE. So once you click on this JDK download, and it will go to one more page here. So here there are multiple versions and multiple operating systems are available. So just come down here, and these are all saying JRE. Okay, these are all JRE software, but we need JDK, right? So let's go back, and this is talking about Java 8. Okay, so till Java 8 everything is free. JRE, JDK, everything is free. But if you download from this one, it will download JDK 11. So this is the latest version. So let's click on this. Okay, now this is your JDK 11. So if you install this one, you will get only JDK part. Okay, so just click on the accept agreement, and currently you are working on Windows operating systems, right? So that we need to just click on this one, JDK 11.0.2 Windows X 64-bit bin.zip, or you can download exe also. So I just suggest you just click on this exe file. Okay, you can just start installing JDK. So just click on this exe file. I will just give you the direct link. You can just open this link and you can try this. Okay, so download JDK 11. 11 is the latest version. And if you open this link directly in the UI, so it will start downloading, but you need to do sign up process first of all. It will ask you the login to the Oracle website, then provide your login details, then try to open this link. This is the first thing. Okay, so it is starting downloading. So I already have this, I'm just discarding this. So this is the one thing, but sometimes this JDK alone is not sufficient. You need to also download JRE. Okay, so let's go back, and JRE available till Java 8. Okay, so after that Java JRE is not implemented. So still JRE 8 is used for all kinds of Java. So here in this particular list, you have to click on JRE. If you need JDK also 8 version, you can just go for this. But the JDK is available as the latest version. So 11 we have downloaded, and JRE, click on this download. Okay, now we will navigate to this side. Here Java 8 JDK as well as JRE both are available. So we need only JRE, we don't require any JDK, because JDK we have downloaded 11 version. Okay, so now we need to download only JRE part. So let's go to the second section, and here Windows 64-bit, there are two options are available. So we need to download always in exe file. So this is a link I'm just giving you. So you have to download this one. So this is a download JRE. So this changes happened recently, but previously once we have downloaded JDK, so JRE is also part of JDK. So after Oracle is acquired Java, so these changes are happened. So you need to download first JDK, install completely, and after that install JRE completely. Okay, so once you install, so let me just show you screens here. So you can just follow the same screenshot. Okay, so I'll provide this presentation. Okay, so you can just go through the same screenshot and how to download using links, and you need to start. So once you downloaded exe files, you just click on the start. Okay, so it is very, very simple, just two screens. So once you have downloaded exe file, click on the exe file, Then it will start installation screen like this. Click on the next, and finally close this. Even JDK and JRE. So both you have to install in the same way. Okay. So once you have installed, so we need to do also certain configuration. So step one. So once you have download, install Java or install JDK and JRE both. So by clicking .exe files, it's very simple. Just you guys can do that. But we need to do additional configuration. So first you have installed Java JRE. So immediately you can see one folder in C drive, program files. Inside Java, you will see two folders like this. So one folder is for JDK, the other folder is for JRE. So you can see these two folders. So once you have installed JDK and JRE both, so then you will see these two folders. Okay, so this is your default location this is your default location. And if you want to change the location, you can also change this location at the time of installation, or else by default it will install under programming file. So this is the default location of Java. Okay, so that's it. So now, so once you have installed this Java, we need to do a certain configuration. So unless we do certain configuration, we cannot directly work with the Java. Okay, so once you have installed this, we need to do that configuration. How we can do the configuration? So let's go to JDK and open this JDK folder and go to /bin folder, because in JDK bin folder only we can find a lot of Java libraries. Everything is available here. This is actually installer files. So let's copy this particular path /bin folder and right click on this PC. This is very important step. Okay, so right click on this PC, and if you are working on older operating systems like Windows 7, you have to right click on my computer and then go to properties. So once you go to properties, you will see these options, and here you need to select advanced system settings. So go to advanced system settings. Now you will see one more window like this, and here just go to environment variables. And in environment variables, you can see two sections: user variables from admin, system variables. Just go to system variables, then select your path variable. You can see one path variable which is already created. So select this path variable, click on edit. Okay, don't click on the new, just click on edit. So once you click on this edit, you will see a lot of paths which is already added here. Okay, these are different software, different applications paths they have added here. Along with this path, you should also add the Java current path. So here you click on the new button. Now it will cursor is waiting for you here. Just Control V. Okay, so this is how we need to configure the path. So why we need to configure this path? Because we can run our program, Java programs, anywhere in your system. Not only from specific directory, we can create your Java program, we can compile and execute from anywhere in your system, from any location. So to do that, we need to configure this Java path. This is very important step. So unless you configure this Java path, you cannot execute your code or you cannot execute your Java program. Okay, and once you copied this one, then click on OK button, and then again OK, and then OK, then close this window. So this is called as a configuration. So here I mentioned here. So properties, advanced settings, environment variables. Okay, and in the environment variables, I have shown you how to add a new variable inside the path. So one more time I'm showing you. So right click on this My PC. Right click on this My PC, properties, advanced system settings, and then go to environment variables. And in the system variable section, just go to path variable, select only path, and click on edit. And in this list, don't disturb other paths. Okay, let it be there. These are very important. If you corrupted anything, your system will not be boot. So these are very important. Some applications may not run. So don't corrupt these existing ones. Just click on new and add your path. Okay, then after that, OK, and then OK, close this. So this is a navigation you have to do. Okay, so this is called as a configuration. So once you install in Java location, you need to set path variable. Set path variable. This is called as a setting path variable. So where under my PC properties environment variables inside this path variable you have to set. So this is another step you have to do. So with this we have completely installed JDK, JRE and setting the path. So how you can verify whether the Java is properly installed or not? So first thing, we can go and see the folders which are properly placed or properly installed or not inside this JDK, JRE, both we should be able to see. The other verification is just open your command prompt. Just type CMD in the search window somewhere in your Windows operating systems. And once you open this your command prompt, you will see this particular window. So inside this window, you have to just type one command called java-version. Okay, java-version. So this command will give you the version of JRE, not the Java. Okay, so here the current Java version, Java runtime environment will be given here. And when I say Java C, it will give you certain number of commands here, Java compiler commands. So if you get these commands, list of commands, that means you have successfully installed Java in your operating systems, in your system. Okay, so this is how we need to install complete JDK, JRE and setting up the path. So these are the steps you have to follow at the beginning. Okay, so install JDK, JRE and then default location of Java and JRE is this one, and then configure the path. So these are the settings you have to do at the initial level. And today itself, we have to configure all these things and get ready with them. Okay. And the next one is, this is of installing Java. Till here, we have seen how to install Java. Now I'm going to show you how to install Eclipse, because Eclipse is also required to write our Java code. So let's go to again Google and just download Eclipse. Click on enter. Now there is official website is available. So just let's go to this official website. And this is our official website of Eclipse, and directly just click on this download 64-bit. So this is the button you have to click. Okay, now again it will go to the next window, and from here also you can just download this one or this one, anything is fine. So just click on this exe file. So it will start downloading one exe file. So I'm just discarding because I already have it. So I will provide you that direct link. You can just open this link and download link. So you will get one exe file. So once you open this link in browser, you will get an exe file. So once you get an exe file, you have to start installing Eclipse. It is also very simple. I have given screenshots very clearly. You can just follow the same thing. So once you click on this link, you will download one exe file. So the exe file will be like this. So once you click on this exe file, it will start installing your Eclipse. And once you get this particular screen, it will show you multiple flavors of Eclipse. So you have to select the first one, Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Okay, so this is the first option you have to select, and click on this first option, and then it will go, this is the location where your Eclipse will install by default, and click on this install button. Okay, so once you click on the install button, now it will start installing your Eclipse. So it will take some time here. So once you completely install, finally you will get this particular screen. So it will give you the launch button here. So once you click on this launch button, then first time it will ask you the workspace location. First time. So workspace means all your Java projects, Java code, programs, everything, whatever you do in the Eclipse will be stored in this particular location. And if you want to change this workspace location, you can also change it. And select this checkbox first time, because every time it will ask you workspace whenever you are open your Eclipse. If you don't want to ask like this, just select this checkbox and click on the launch. So once you click on the launch, now Eclipse will be launched and your Eclipse ID will be like this. is the first initial screen of your Eclipse. So before that, you need to do all these settings. So all this, you have to download exe file, then install exe file, and then it will start installation of Eclipse, and finally you will reach it here. Okay, so this is the Eclipse installation. This is also very simple. You can do that. And I already installed my Eclipse. Let me just show you how it will be. So where the Eclipse will be stored. So Eclipse by default will be installed on program files. So Java 2018-12. So this is the latest version of Eclipse. So when you open this folder, Eclipse folder, you can see inside this, you can see different files. And you can just create one shortcut of this eclipse.exe, because every time when you're launching your Eclipse, you have to click on this exe file. Just right click on the exe and send to just desktop. Okay, this will create a new shortcut in your desktop. So because every time you need to launch your Eclipse, so you have to use this exe file. Okay, so it is very, very simple. So because the one more important thing is, before installing Eclipse, you have to install Java. Okay, Eclipse required Java. So Eclipse uses Java internally at the time of installation. So first you have to install Java, and then you have to install Eclipse. Okay, this is the proper order. So once you have installed Eclipse, now my Eclipse is also ready. This is my Eclipse window. So this is my Eclipse window. And there are multiple sections you can see, like you can see some menus here. There are some icons. And at the left side, you can see Package Explorer. Okay, this contains multiple packages or multiple projects. So these projects I have created. So in your case, you don't see any packages. By default, it is empty. Okay, and when you're launching your Eclipse first time, you will see this particular welcome screen. You have to just close this welcome screen. You have to just close this welcome screen, and then you will see this kind of window. So this is called as Eclipse IDE. Eclipse IDE. So in this, we have to work with Java and Selenium, and in future. So in all the sessions, whatever we are going to learn, everything we are going to learn in Eclipse itself. Okay. So these are all configurations part. So download Java, JDK and JRE, and then configure the path of Java, and then download Eclipse. So we don't require to any configurations for Eclipse. Just download exe file, click on the exe file, it will go and install your Eclipse. And just open the exe shortcut, and then it will launch the Eclipse. So the only thing you have to do. So this is a environment setup. This is the first thing you have to do. This is called as environment setup. So once you have Java and Eclipse everything, now you can start writing your Java code. Now I'll show you how to create a project. So the first and most important thing is we have to create the project. So how to create the Java project? And within the Java project, we can start writing your Java programs. So how to create the Java project? So by default in the package explorer, you don't see anything. Okay, so these are the different projects I have created. In your case, you don't see any projects here. So we have to create a new project. A project in the sense is a kind of a folder where in which we can write all our Java programs. Okay, so now I'll show you how to create a Java project in Eclipse. These are all first initial steps. So let's go to File, New. You can see one option called Java Project. Okay, so you have to select this option. Don't go for project. You have to select Java project. Now it will give you one more window like this. So here we need to give some project name. So here I will just give you Java morning batch. Okay, just some project name, because every day we use the same project, and every day I will create different packages inside the project, and I'll explain a lot of examples. So let's create some project name, give some project name here, and where this project will be created in this location. So by default, the workspace location will be maintained by Eclipse. When you're launching your Eclipse first time, it will ask you the workspace location. So in that workspace, all your projects, code, everything will be stored. So once you have created your project, then click on finish. Just finish. Okay, then it will automatically create a new project here. So this is your project folder. Now when you expand this one, You will see few more things like SRC is root package and JRE system library also you can see here. And when you expand this, you can see some kind of files. Okay. So inside this project, we are going to write your code, Java code. Now let's see how we can create very basic Java program. So what I have to do is SRC is a root package. Package in the sense it is a simple kind of a folder. Okay. So if you see here, right click on this project, go to properties, and under resource, here you can see the path where this project is exactly created. So if you go and see this particular path, open this path in Explorer somewhere, go to File Explorer and open this particular path. Now you can see whatever you have in this particular tree, everything you can see. But this class path and project are hidden folders so that we cannot see in the window. But SRC we have bin settings are part of your JRE. Okay. So whatever you do in this project in your Eclipse will be reflected in your folder structure. So within SRC, we have to create all packages, programs, everything will be part of your SRC. Means it is a source package. Okay. All right. So now we'll start creating very basic program. So how to create a Java program? So just right click on this SRC, go to the new, select class. In Java, everything is a class. By default, everything is a class. So without a class, we cannot perform anything. A class is a collection of variables and methods. So in coming sessions, I will explain in detail about class, methods, variables, and we'll discuss in detail concepts. But for now, just understand it very high level. So don't dig into that. Just create one class. Okay. So now here we have to provide a name of the class. So here I'm just say first Java program. I'm just providing some name here. So whenever you are giving some name to the class, it should start with the uppercase letter. Remember this. All the class names should start with the uppercase letter, and the class name should not have any special characters, and class name should not have any spaces. Okay, remember. And class name should not start with the numbers. So it should always start with the uppercase letter and the two alphabet. You should not start with numbers. But you can use numbers in between this name or end of the name. You can still use numbers, but the class name should not start with the numbers. These are the naming conventions. So whenever you are creating a class, we have to follow these rules. Class name should start with uppercase letter. Class name should not have any spaces, should not contain any special characters except the underscore. Underscore you can use like this. Suppose Java, first Java underscore program I want to write. So this is possible. But other than this as symbol or hyphen or plus or equal to, so these are all special characters. They are not allowed. Okay. So make sure whenever you are creating the class name, so you have to make sure properly give the class name here. So first Java program, and then click on finish. So now we can see here SRC itself is a root package. So as soon as you created a new Java program, it is created a default package. It is created a default package because we haven't created our own packages. So by default, it is created as a default package. Inside this Java program is created. So this is basically class. As soon as you created a Java class, it is giving this particular piece of code. So what it is saying is public class first Java program, and this is open brace and closed curly brace. So this base can be there in the next line also. Okay, so here this is called as a block of your class or scope. We can say this is the area of the class. Here the class is started and here it is end. So within this, we can create our Java code or methods, variables, everything will be part of your first Java program. So this is a class. So inside this, what I can do is I have to write a method. So this is basically area, class area. So inside this class, we have to include our Java code. So we cannot directly write your Java code inside the class. We must create a method, that is main method. So the syntax of main method will be public static void main string arguments array, and inside this is a main method. So this is basically skeleton of your class and a method. Okay, so in the coming sessions, I will clearly, detailedly explain about what is these keywords. So these are called as Java keywords: public, class, static, what is the string, what is args. So these things we will discuss in detail in the coming sessions. For now, just understand, if you want to write a single line of code in Java, we must create a class which contains a main method. So this is called as a method. And here we need to write our Java code. This is exactly area where we have to write our Java code. So we cannot directly write code into the class itself. So we have to create a main method inside the class, and within the main method we have to include your Java code. Okay, so here I am going to write a simple one line of code. So if you want to print some output, I will just say system.out.println. So this is a command we have in Java, and in the double quotations, whatever we have created, whatever we have written, that will be printed as an output. So here I'm writing hello world, welcome to Java training. Okay, just I have given some text, and every line of the statement will end with the semicolon. So in Java, every line is end with the semicolon. Okay, so when you are creating the class name, right? So this is up to you. Okay, so you can just give every word starting with uppercase letter. Even if you give the small letter, no issues. Okay, but this is normal standard we follow. Okay, so, but first name should be uppercase letter. In the middle names, let's say Java program, so J is uppercase letter, P is uppercase letter I have given. That is up to you. That is optional. And if you want to clearly understand each word by word, you can just give uppercase letter, or you can still give lowercase letters. Okay, that's not important. But first one should be uppercase letter. Okay, so now, so I have just created one class inside this main method, and inside the main method only we have to write all the Java code. So even if you want to write a single line of code, we must create a class, we must create a main method. These are all mandatory things. Okay, now how to execute this program? So I have just created a simple program, right? So every line in your Java will end with the semicolon, except the class name and method name. So this is a class, we should not put semicolon here. This is not allowed. Even for method also, we should not put semicolon here. This is also not allowed. But except the class and method, in all other places, we should put semicolon. Every line is end with the semicolon. So semicolon is representing the line is end. So this is the end of this line. If you want to write another statement, you have to write in the next line. So here I want to write one more statement: system.out.println, and here I'm writing Selenium training. So some message, and end with the semicolon. So semicolon must be there. So every line is end with the semicolon. So this is a simple and very, very basic program. Let us execute this code. Run as Java application. This is how we need to execute. There are many ways you can execute your code. The first way is right click, run as Java application. This is the first way, first method. The other method is, you can see small green option at the top, right? You can also directly click on this option. It will execute. The third approach is just right click on this particular file, run as Java application. So from this also you can execute. So many ways you can execute your Java code. So now let me just, most of the times I will use this one. So run as Java application. So now you will see a new window which is appeared here called console window. So inside the console window, you can see the output which is produced by your Java program. Now this program, we have created two statements here. So what this method will do is system.out.println. What this will do is, whatever we have included in the double quotations will be printed as an output in the console window. Okay, in the console window, we can see the output which is produced by this particular program. So this is a very, very first and very basic program in Java. Okay. Now, similarly, we can also create. So for example, let me close this class. I want to create another program. So right click here, new, again take the class. And this time I don't want to write main method manually. So what I can do is just provide one class name here. Let's say second program. And here, before clicking on finish, just select this checkbox, public static void main. So because by default, the method will be included in this particular class by default. You no need to write main method manually. So select this option, just click on the finish. Okay. Now you will see a new class is created along with the main method. So this time you no need to write main method because already we have included this. So this is just a comment. Comment means this statement will be ignored by Java. So just we can remove those comments. And these curly braces can be there in the same line or we can put in the next line. Okay, that is up to you. So this is a class and this is a method. So where we have to write the code? Here we have to write the code. Here we have to write the Java code. Okay, so this is another way of creating the class along with the main method. All right, so we have seen how to configure Java, how to configure Eclipse, how to write a basic Java program in Eclipse. Now we are going to discuss few important topics in Java. So they are Java variables, data types, and operators. So let us discuss Java variables and data types and operators. So any language, if you start learning, we have to learn step by step. So first of all, we learn alphabets, then we will learn how to make a words and sentences, then we have to learn how to write a larger paragraphs. Similarly, even any programming language also we have to learn in the same fashion. So first we learn what is variable, how to define the variables, what are the data types, what are the operators. So first we have to learn this, and then slowly we'll start writing your complex Java programs. So first of all, let us focusing on Java variables. So what is Java variables? So here a variable is a container. A Java variable is a container which can hold a value. So for example, here, if I want to store some, in mathematics also you will see like this, x is equal to, I'll say 10. So what is the meaning of, what is x here? X is a variable. X is a variable which can hold some data, So when I say x is equal to 10, so currently x value is a 10. So later, if I want to change, you can still change. X is equal to 20. Now what is the latest value of x is 20. So the 10 is override. So 10 is gone. So the value of this variable keep on changing. We can change this value of this variable every time. So that is the reason we call it as a variable. So variable is a container which can hold some data. Variable is a container, not only the numeric data, sometimes it can hold characters, sometimes it can hold string data. So different data type we have. So all kinds of data can be held by this variable. So variable is a container which can hold a data. Okay. So, but in Java, whenever we are storing some data in a variable, we must specify the type of data. Okay, we must specify the type of data. What kind of type we have to store in this variable? So for example, I want to store a numbers in a variable. Let's say I have a variable called as a, and I want to store a number inside this variable. So in that case, we must specify what kind of data we are storing inside this variable. So that is comes under the data type. So here we must specify int. Int is nothing but a data type. So integer is nothing but a data type. So when I say a variable as an integer, so this variable can hold only numbers without a decimal numbers, without a decimal. Only numbers will be held by this variable. So as soon as I say int a is equal to 10, what happens in the memory is, in the memory, it will allocate some space to this variable and the value will go and store here. Okay. Suppose if you are storing long value, let's say 10,000, 50,000, okay, like this, you have a huge number like this, then int may not support. So you have to go for another type like a long int of a, and then you can store larger number. So int and long int both are same. Only the difference is a location, size of the memory. So if you want to store a short number, 2 digits or 3 digits, integer is fine. But if you want to store a larger number like this, then you have to define that variable is a long int. Okay, and we have also another type called as short. These are all number data types. So when I say short here, it can just store only one digit. So just 1 or 2 digits, not more than that. So if you want to store a short number, you can just go for the short. It will allocate only small type of memory, small minimal memory. And if you integer, little bigger memory. Or if you say long int, and again more use memory. So that depends on the memory size. There are multiple types are available. So most of the times we use int type because this is most relevant. Always int type can hold the data. Okay, so these are all number types. So whenever you are creating a variable, and if you want to assign some value to that variable, we must specify the data type. As per the Java, we must specify the data type. And similarly, suppose if you want to store a decimal numbers, I have a decimal numbers, then you have to go for another type called as a double or float. So these two are also comes under the number data types, numeric data types, but these variables can hold decimal numbers. Let's say float a, I can store some decimal number like this. And when I say double, also we can store double number. So, but this time you can store a bigger number. Okay, so double is almost feasible when you compare with the float. So these are all another data types. These are all comes under one category. Okay, number data types. And we also have string type, and we also have char type, we have also have boolean type. So these are all different data types. So what we have to understand here is, if you want to store a value inside a variable, we must specify the data type. If you want to store numbers without decimals, just define that variable as an integer type. And if you want to store a decimal numbers, define that variable as a float or double. Or if you want to store a characters, define that variable as a char type. Or if you want to store a string in a variable, or string is nothing but multiple characters, collection of characters, then you have to define that variable as a string type. So these are all different data types. So now what we have understood is, what is this variable? So variable, this is called variable declaration, this is called variable initialization. So in Java we can try in two different ways. So when I say here integer a, so this is just a declaration part. This is called variable declaration. So a is an integer type, we can store a number. Suppose I want to assign a value into the a, I can write one more statement, a is equal to 100. So this is called as a initialization. So declaration and initialization. So here we declare this variable of type integer, and if we are assign some value to the a. So we can also write single statement instead of writing two statements. Declaration plus initialization. So directly specify the variable name is equal to 100. So declaration and initialization, both we have. So this is declaration plus initialization. So we can combine both of them. So either we can write this way or we can write this way. So this is how we need to declare the variables in Java and assign the data type and store the values inside this. So this is a simple understanding of Java variables. Now we have a data types. So in Java, there are two kinds of data types basically, primitive and derived data types. But here I have not listed out derived data types, but normally there are two kinds of data types. So one is primitive data types and second one is derived data types. So derived data types are comes under a primitive or like integer, double, boolean, okay, and character. So these are all comes under the primitive data types. And string and array list, hash map, so hash map and set, list. So these are all comes under the derived data types. So derived data types and primitive data. So what is the basic difference between these two? So primitive data types are not classes. They are just a keywords in Java. So we can just normally use primitive data types to store the data in a variables. When you come to the derived data types, these are predefined classes in Java. So that's the reason these data types are starting with the uppercase letters. So these classes are starting with uppercase letters because these are all classes, and we can also use them as a data type. Okay, so in the coming sessions, I'm going to discuss all these things slowly one by one. So basically, there are two kinds of data types: primitive and derived data types. So integer, double, boolean, character, these are all primitive data types, and these are all derived data types. The basic difference is primitive data types are just a keywords, and derived data types are basically a classes, predefined classes, and we can also use them as a data type. So that is the only basic difference between these. Now here I have listed out a few primitive data types. So here integer. So under integer, byte is there, long, short, integer. So these are all different types. So I said long int, right? So that is exactly equal to long. So byte means 1 byte, 8 bytes, 2 bytes, 4 bytes. So based upon the size, we have to select proper data type. So almost int is irrelevant. Every time most of the times we use only int because this is enough to handle all kinds of data. But if you want to store a huge number like 5 digits and 6 digits, then go for the long. Okay. And float. So this is can hold decimal numbers, and float and double comes under the float category. And char is another type, so which can hold a single character, and characters we have to include in the single quotations. And there is another type called as a boolean. So here we can just store either true or false. Okay, boolean variable can hold either true or false, only two values without having double quotations and single quotations. So these are all the Java data types. Let me just quickly show you one example how to use these data types. Let me just create another example, new class, and I will name it as a data types demo. Sorry, data types and demo. So these are all very, very basic concepts in Java. You don't have any interview kind of questions on this. I will tell you what are interview questions which are important going further, okay, wherever it is required. So first, focus on the basic concepts, how we can start writing your Java, how to write a system.println statement, how to use data types, how to use variables. So this is once we get the basic understanding, slowly once we started your programming, then I'll tell you what are all very important things which we need to focus for interview purpose. Okay. So data types demo, this is my class name I have given. I'm taking just the main method, then finish it. So within the main method, I have to write your code. So here I'm just define few variables. Okay, I'll just define few variables, and I will create integer type of data. So integer, let's say a is equal to 100. This is integer type of data. So int type of data. So this is just a comment. Okay, slash slash is representing a comment. And if you want to comment multiple lines, suppose you have written some junk data like this, I want to comment this. So what you have to do is before that use slash star, and at the end also use star slash. So Java will ignore these statements at the runtime. It will not execute these statements. So this is called multi-line comment. And if you want to comment a single line, just say slash slash. So slash slash will comment a single line. Okay. So now, so I've defined few variables with a different type of data. So I'll just say double d is equal to a decimal number. Let's say 15.5, some decimal number. And character. So char c is equal to characters we have to include in single quotations. So if you want to store a characters in a variable, we have to include them in single quotations. Just a moment. Okay, so single quotations we have to include. And then we have another type called as a boolean. And remember, all these are lowercase letters, okay, keywords in Java. And we cannot use these keywords as a variable names. And variable names also can be have multiple characters. Suppose when I say A, you can also say ABC is equal to 100. So ABC itself is a variable name. Okay, so you can use multiple characters or a single characters. And within these variables, you can also use underscore, but you should not use special characters. Okay, so remember this. These are all naming conventions. You will know slowly once you start practicing this. And so integer, double, char, and the next type is boolean. So when I create a boolean variable, I can store either true or I can store only the false. Okay, so boolean variable can accept only true and false. So these are the basic types I'm going to use. So there are other types also there, but we don't use most of them. So the basic data types are from numbers, we use integer and double, character and boolean. Suppose if you want to store multiple characters in the sense it is a string basically. So if you want to store a string in a variable, then how we can? So we have to define a string variable. String s is equal to some variable name is equal to, here I have to put the string. So if you notice here clearly, so these are a primitive data types. String is a derived data type because string is a predefined class in Java. So that's the reason it is giving a different color. Okay, so string is a predefined class in Java. We can also use string as a data type. So that's the reason I said create a one variable of string type and I have stored a string. So strings always we have to include in the double quotations. Okay, remember this. So I have created few variables which contains some data. Now I want to print the data in my console window as an output. So how we can print is system.out.println, just specify the variable. Okay, just specify the variable name. Then this statement will go and print that value which is present inside this A. Now when I run this code, it will give you 100. So A contains 100, but we should not okay, so suppose I want to print value directly, I can just print like this. Just run this code, it is prints 100. So whatever you have given in this println, okay, that will be printed directly in the console window. But if you want to print this value, and we can just refer that variable, that's it. So whatever value we have stored in this variable will be printed here. And similarly, I will also try to print the values of other variables. This is your D, this is your C, and this is your B, Boolean. And also I'll create one more statement to print the string value. Okay, so let's run this code. So now we got all the values from every variable. So this is a A value, this is a D value, C value, and a B value, and then string value. So we got all the values. So this is the way we need to just create a variables and assign the values. And at the time of printing, we can just refer the variable name in system.out.println statement. And here in system.out.println, here system is a predefined class. So I will just discuss about this in the coming session again, because we need to understand few more important things before understanding this one, system.out.println. For now, just remember system.out.println is a command which will print an output in our console window. Okay, so S is a uppercase letter. Remember, don't write single lowercase letter. Okay, this is uppercase letter. All right, so now I have created few variables which contains some data, and I have printed them. So in our console window. So this is how we need to define the variables, assign the values, and refer those values by using variable names. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one is Java operators. So in Java, we have different type of operators are available. So first let us understand what is an operator. So basically, if you want to perform certain activity, let's say I have A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. I am doing A plus B. Okay. So if you notice this particular expression, and I want to store this value in C as an output. So I'm adding A plus B and storing the output in the C. So in this particular example, here A is a variable, 10 is a value, B is another variable, 20 is the value. But when you come here, this is called as an expression. This is called as a expression. What the expression contains is, here A and B, between I'm using plus here. What is this plus is? Operator. Operator. So operator means it will perform certain operation between two operands. Here A and B called as operands. So operator is a symbol which will perform certain action or activity between these two operators. Okay, even equal to is also an operator. So what here equal to is doing? Equal to is assigning the output into some other variable. Okay, here also equal to is doing something. So operator is a symbol which will perform certain operation between one operand or multiple operands. Okay, that is basically concept of operator. Now we'll see how we can use this operator, how many types of operators we have and how we can use those operators. So here I have listed out few operators: arithmetic operators, logical operators, relational or comparison operator, and also we have a concatenation operator. So let me just show you all these operators one by one. So through programmatically. So let's go to Eclipse. Now I'm going to create another class to demonstrate operators. So here I will give some name called operators demo. Take this main method, then finish it. So here to demonstrate these operators, I'm going to take two different variables. Let's say integer a is equal to 10, integer b is equal to 20. So two numbers I'm taking. So first I will show you arithmetic operators. So what are the arithmetic operators? So here plus, minus, star, slash, and modulo division. So these are all comes under the arithmetic operators. So these five all comes under the arithmetic operators, which will perform some mathematical operations. Now I'll try to use them for these two variables. Let us see how we can use them. So I want to add a and b. So how to add a plus b? Simple. Plus is an additional operator. But I want to print that output. So directly write system.out.println a plus b. Okay, so this will give you the output of a plus b. So now when you see 30 is an output. So a is 10 and b is 20. So 10 plus 20, 30 is given output. But how we will know whether this is addition or not? So simply we can write one simple message here. That is sum of a and b is, okay, and put some semicolon here. And we have to append this. So plus is an operator we can use two different ways. Let me explain this. Plus operator can be used multiple ways. So let me show you one example. When I use 10 plus 20, okay, it will give you 30 as an output. So what plus is doing here? It is performing addition of two numbers. So when I use a plus between two strings, so for example, here I have welcome. This is one string. And I have another string here, welcome 1, 2, 3, or welcome or selenium. This is another string. So when I use plus operator between two strings, this will give you concatenation. So it will give you like this, welcome selenium. It will concatenate both of them. Suppose when I use plus operator between number and string. So for example, here I'll say welcome, okay, and plus I'll say 10 here. Now what happened? It will also do the concatenation. It will print welcome 10. Okay, so these are the different scenarios where we can use plus operator. So plus operator can be used as an arithmetic operator as to perform the addition, and plus operator also we can use to concatenate more than one value. So here and here in the two different cases, I have used this plus operator as a concatenation operator. Okay, so here this is a string basically. Sum of a and b is, I'm printing a plus b here. I want to concatenate this one and this one. So I have used plus operator here. So I have used multiple plus here. So the second plus is used to perform addition between a plus b, and the first plus is used to concatenating this one and the output. Okay, now let us run this and see what is an output. You will get it here. See, now we have got some output here. Sum of a and b is 10, 20. But is it your expected? No, right? Basically what this plus is doing, it is concatenating. So first added a 20, then concatenated by b 20. So 10 and 20 is concatenated. but that is not our expected output. So what we have to do is we have to keep them in the bracket a plus b. So we have to differentiate this expression with this particular plus. So the first plus is working as a concatenation, and here a plus b will perform the addition operation. So first a plus b will execute and then append the result into existing string. So when I run this, now it will give you exact output. Sum of a and b is 30. So this is how we need to write. Okay. So similarly, we can also use other arithmetic operators. Let me just write all of them. So the difference of a and b is I'm just doing b minus a, 20 minus 10. And this is plus is a concatenation operator. Okay. So if you want to join the message along with the output, I have to use plus operator. Plus is a concatenation operator. So here I'm using in two different ways. One is concatenation, the other one is addition operator. So here star is performing multiplication, and we need to understand difference between these two. So this will basically return quotient, and this will return a remainder. Okay, it will return remainder. So for example, when I say 10 divided by 2, okay, so here when I say 10/2, this will give you the quotient. So what is the quotient? 5 it will return. Okay, and when I say 10 percentile 2, okay, 10 percentile 2, so this operator will give you remainder as 0. So this is the difference between slash and percentile. So one is for returning the quotient, the other is returning the remainder. So I've just used a/b, a percentile b. Okay, this will remain remainder it will return. So these are all arithmetic operators. It's very, very simple. So plus, minus, star, slash, and modulo division. So let's run this code and see. So now you got all the values, right? So this is how we need to use arithmetic operators. So along with this, we also have relational operators. Relational operators also called as a comparison operators. Relational operators or comparison operators. And relational operators or comparison operations are these ones. So let me just write greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to, double equals. These are all called relational operators. So basically these operators will compare the numbers, whether equal or not, greater than or less than or equal, or will be verified. So for example, when I say here system.out.println a greater than b, so what happens now? So relational operators always returns a boolean value, that is either true or false, remember. So when I say a greater than b, so a value is a 10, b value is a 20. So 10 greater than 20, is it correct? No, right? So it returns false. It returns false. Suppose same statement if I write like this, b greater than a. So b is 20, a is 10. So 20 greater than 10. So this condition is true. So this will return true. So basically these operators will check we compare the two numbers. Either they are equal or greater or lesser, okay, or not equal, it will verify. And similarly, I can also use other operators between these two numbers. Let's say a not equal to b. So a is 10, b is 20. Both are not equal. So it returns true. A less than b also returns true because 10 less than 20 is true. And a greater than b is false. A less than or is equal to b. So here there are two conditions. A should be either less than or at least it should be equal to b. Either one of the condition is matched, then it will return true. And greater than or equal. A should be greater or it should be equal. So one of them is matched, then it will return true or else return false. So these are all relational operators. Let us run as a Java application. Now we got this output. Okay. So relational operators will always returns a Boolean value, either true or false, either true or false. And the next one we have is logical operators. So suppose if you have only two numbers, we can just go and compare with relational operators. But sometimes we need to verify multiple conditions. So that then we have to go for logical operators. Logical operators. So and, or, not. So these are the three logical operators we have in Java. So when we have to use this logical operator, and these logical operators also always returns either true or false. So let me just show you how to use these logical operators. So to explain this, I'm just going to take one Excel. And if you want to work with this logical, at least we should have two Boolean variables. Let us say I have A, B, and I'll calculate A and B, and A or B, and not A or not B. So I'm just taking few expressions here. Just understand this. Okay. So here what I'm going to do here is, for example, A and B, two Boolean variables are required to check these operators. So let us say A is a true, B is also true. This is one combination. Suppose A is a true, but B is a false, and A is a false and B is true, and A is false and B is also false. So at least we need two different variables. They are Boolean variables. Now we'll see how these operators will behave. So and A and B. So AND operator will return true only if both values are true. So in this case here it will return true. A is true, B is true. So finally A and B. AND means both should be true. And rest of the cases it will return false. Rest of the cases it will return false. So this is the behavior of A and B operator. Okay, so AND operator will check both the variables are true or not. If both are true, then only it will return true. If one of them is false, it will return false. So that's the behavior of AND operator. And next one is OR operator. So OR operators will return true. Either one of them is true. So for example, in the first combination, true is there, so it will return true. In the second combination also true is there, so it will return true. In the third combination also true is available, so true is. But only in the last combination it will return false. So OR means A or B, one of them should be true. Then final result will be the true. And both are false, then only it will be false, and rest of them are true. So this is the behavior of OR operator. Next, NOT. So NOT means is a negation. So A is true, then not A becomes a false. Not A becomes a false. If the A is a false and not A becomes a true. So this is just a negation. Okay, so this is how we need to use logical operators. And if you want to use logical operators, at least we should have two Boolean variables. Now let me just show you here. I will just create two Boolean variables. Let's create Boolean X is equal to true and Boolean Y is equal to false. Okay, now I created two different variables. Now I will use AND or NOT operator between these two. So X and Y, what this will return? X is equal to true, Y is equal to false. So AND operator returns true only if both are true. But in this case, here it will return false. And OR operator will return true even if one of them is true. So here it will return true. And X value is a true, not X value is obviously false. Okay. So most of the times we use these commands in conditional statements and looping statements. In the next session, I'll show you how to use these operators along with the conditional and looping statements. Okay, let's run this code. Okay, now we got this output. Okay, so this is how we need to use a logical operators. At the end, we have few more operators called increment and decrement operators. Increment and decrement operators. So normally, when I have a variable like this, a is equal to 10. So I want to increase the value of a by 1. So how to increase? Again, I will recreate like this. A is equal to a plus 1. Okay, now a value becomes 11. So here a value becomes 11 because we added 1. Same expression we can still write in Java by using plus plus operator. When I say a plus plus, this is also increase the value of 11. Okay, this is called increment operator. This is also exactly the same as this one. And similarly decrement. So a is equal to 10. I want to decrement this value. So let's say a is equal to a minus 10. So this will give you 9 as an output. Same thing we can perform by using minus minus. This is a decrement operator. Okay, so let's see how we can work. So here is 100. And now I want to decrease the value by 1. So what I can do here is I can just write system.out.println a plus plus. Okay, so what this will do is directly it will add 1. So it will become 101. Now directly it is printed. Okay, so let's run this code. Now you will get till 100. Why it is getting 100? So there are some different aspects we need to think. So there is again pre-increment and post-increment. There are two categories of increment we have. I'll tell you what is pre-increment and post-increment. So what I will do is I will just take another variable. Let us say integer result is equal to a plus plus. So now what happens? A is 100 plus plus. So it should add 1, right? So now I'm printing this result variable here. Let us see the result. What it is printed? Still we got 100. It is not incremented. Why it is not incremented? Because a plus plus is called as a post increment operator. Post increment. So post increment, first it will assign the value to this variable. So what is the a value? 100. So result will become 100. So immediately we are printing the result here. So after assigning the value into res, then it will increment that value. So that's the reason we are not getting the incremented value. Same thing we can write in another way. Suppose when I say integer res is equal to plus plus a, this is called as a pre-increment. Pre-increment. Now in this expression, what will happen is first it will increment that value and then store the incremented value in res. Now when I print the res here, this time you will get 101. So there's a basic difference between post increment and pre-increment. So post increment, first it will assign the value and then it will increment. So normally we use this statement in the looping statements. And pre-increment means first it will increment that value, then assign the value to the result. And we can print this result. Okay. So this is a basic difference between pre-increment and post-increment. And without using this third variable also we can do that. So suppose I don't want to use any variable. So how we can do this is I can just write system.out.println a plus plus, and the same statement again I'm writing here plus plus a. Now see the output. So first time it is 100, second time 102 it is given. So why it is given 102? Because first here a plus plus, first a value is printed as 100, then it is already incremented here. So it becomes 101 here itself. Okay. And now current value of a is 101. So in the next statement, I'm just incrementing the a value. So currently a value is 101. So I'm doing pre-incrementation here. So that's the reason it becomes 102. Okay. So this is how we need to work with the pre-increment and post-increment. So when you will see the difference here is when you want to store those values in a variable, then you can see clear difference. Post-increment and pre-increment. So post-increment we should use normally in the looping statements, because after loop is completed, we have to increment that value after that. So that's the reason post-increment will be applicable in looping statements. So later we will see that. So this is a basic difference between pre-increment and post-increment. Similarly, for the decrement also we have a two: pre-increment and pre-decrement and post decrement. Let me just take another variable b is equal to 10 or 100. So let me just take one result variable. Integer result is equal to b minus minus. Now print the value of b. Okay, let's print the value of b. Now let's execute this. So we will get 99. So because the first b value, so b is 100. So b value, sorry, I have to put result variable, right? Yes. Now we'll get 100. So because first b value will be assigned to the result, and result we are printing. So result value is 100 only. After assigning this b value to the result, then it will decrement that value. Okay. So same thing if I do uh, integer b is equal to minus minus b, minus minus b. Okay, so then first it will decrement this value, then assign that value to the result, and then we will get exact output. So we'll get the 99. Okay, so this will return the 99. So pre-increment and post increment, similarly pre-decrement and post decrement. So this is how we need to use increment and decrement operators in Java. So just you guys can practice this one. And Java operators, we have discussed about variables, Java operators and all. So coming to the assignments, so these are the assignments I'm just giving to you guys. You can try this for today. So assignment part. So this is the first program, and this is your second program, and this is your third program. So first one is very simple, just print some output, and here you print your name, and then write a Java program to print the sum of two numbers, take the two numbers, print the sum of two numbers, and write a Java program to swap two numbers. This is very important. So swapping we have to do. So for example, I have two numbers. Let us say I have A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. And I want to interchange these values. I want to print 20 will be assigned to the A, 10 will be assigned to the B. So I have to do the swapping. So let us see how we can do the swapping. I'll tell you simple logic here. You guys can try it. So let us say this is your A, okay, and this is your B. Here I have a 10, here I have a 20. I want to interchange this. So I have to take another temporary variable called as a C. Now shift this A value into the C. Now the C value becomes 10. Now shift this B value into the A. Now A value becomes 20. Now then shift the C value into the B. Now B value becomes 10. So if you see the latest values of A and B, A value is a 20, B value is a 10. So this is swapping logic. You have to take another temporary variable to swapping these two numbers. And without a temporary variable also we can do that. Just think about this logic, okay? And try yourself. And don't do any Google. So you can find all code in the Google itself, but as a beginner, don't go for Google, okay? So you have to practice. Think about the logic and try to do this. I will also copy the solutions, all assignments. I will also copy the solutions in the Google Drive, and you guys can access and practice, okay? So that's all for today, guys. So I have taken a lot of time today. So please practice this. First of all, install Java, install Eclipse, and then try to practice my class programs first of all. And once you have completed this, then go for assignments. Okay. So that's all for today. So if you have any queries, now you can ask me. I'm just stopping the session. All right. So in the last session, we have discussed about how to install Java and Eclipse, and also we have seen basic programs like how to use data types and how to use uh, operators and all. And today we'll discuss a few more topics from Java. So the first thing we are going to discuss about control statements. Control statements in Java. So control statements in the sense we have conditional statements, and also we have looping statements, and also jumping statements. So these all comes under the control statements, because these statements will control the execution. Okay.
So control statements, in the sense, we have conditional statements, and we have looping statements, and then jumping statements. So these are all different categories of control statements in Java. So under conditional statements, we have if else and switch case statement. These are also called as a selection statements. So conditional statements are also called as a selection statements, right? So under selection statements, we have a two categories, again, if else condition and switch case condition. And the looping statements also called as a iterative statements. Iterative statements. Under this, while loop, do while loop, for loop. These are three statements comes under iteration statements, and break and continue comes under jumping statements. So these are all called control statements because these statements will control the execution of your program. So sometimes what happens is you have 10 lines of code, and certain lines of code you have to execute based upon certain condition. If the condition is true, you have to execute some set of lines, or if the condition is false, you have to execute another set of lines. So that's one idea. So in those conditions or in those situations, we can go and use conditional statements. And similarly, there are certain situations where we have to execute the same statements multiple times, or we need to execute the same set of statements repetitively. So in those cases, we can just go and use the looping statements. Okay. So here we have multiple statements, conditional statements or selection statements, looping statements or iterative statements, jumping statements. So these are all multiple statements we have to control the execution of your script or code. Now let us see one by one. So the first I'll talk about conditional statements. Conditional statements. So under conditional statements, we have two statements, if else condition, switch case statement. So let's see how to use these conditional statements one by one with examples. So first of all, I have a problem statement like this. I want to find out a number is even number or odd number. So through programmatically, I want to find out a number is even number or odd number. So how we can find out? So first of all, we need to clear about the logic, and then we can put that into programming way. So first, how we can say whether even number or odd number. So logically, if I want to say a number is even number or odd number, that number divided by 2, if it is produces 0 as a reminder, then that number is an even number. Or any number which is divided by 2, which is produced 1 as a reminder, that is an odd number. So this is a logic we need to implement. And how we can use this conditional statement to check this condition. A number is divided by 2 equal to 0, we have to print it is an even number. Or if a number is divided by 2, it produces other than 0, that is an odd number. So how we can put that into condition? So this is a condition actually. So to do this, we have to use a conditional statement. So the syntax of if else statement will be like this. If in the bracket, we should say some condition. If this condition is true, then set of block of statements will be executed. So the statements we have to insert here. These are the number of statements. Or you can have one statement or multiple statements. And if this condition is true, then these set of statements will be executed. Or if the condition is false, then another set of statements will be executed. So here, this is called as a if block, and this is called as a else block. If the condition is true, if block will execute, and if the condition is false, else block will execute. So this is a syntax of if else statement. Okay. So by using this if else statement, we'll see how we can find out a number is even number or odd number. So let's go to Eclipse, and this is our project we have created earlier. And every day I will create a new package inside this project. Okay. So in yesterday, all examples I have created under default package because we don't create any package. So by default, these classes are comes under the default package. And package I will create. So package in the sense it's a simple like a folder. Okay. So let me just create another package under SRC. So right click, new package. So here you need to give the package name. I'll just say day 3. Finish. Okay, so this is an empty package. Currently, I don't have any classes inside this package. So right click on this, new class, and here I'm going to create a new class called even or odd number, main method, then finish it. So now we got the main method. So inside this we need to verify. So my problem statement is I need to find out a number is even number or odd number. So first of all, let us initialize a number. So integer number is equal to, let's say 10 here. And we can also take this input from the user. Okay, so we have a scanner methods available. So I'll discuss them in the coming sessions. So for now, I'm just adding the value directly inside the code. Okay, and with this value, we can also dynamically get from the user. At the runtime, we can provide these values. All right, so for now, I'm just adding a number variable. Integer number is equal to 10. And then I want to find out whether this number is even number or odd number. So how we can write the if condition? If within the bracket. So this is the syntax we should not forget. So if condition, if the condition is true, then if block will execute. If the condition is false, then else block will execute. And else block is optional. Sometimes we don't require else block, only if is enough. So that time you no need to specify the else block. Okay, if this condition is false, if you want to execute some other set of statements, then define the else block. Okay, otherwise we don't require else block. So if here I put the condition, so what is the condition here is number divided by 2 equal to 0. So this is my condition. So if number is 10, 10 divided by 2 equal to 0. So this condition is true. As of this number, this condition is true now. So here I will print system.out.println. So number is even. Okay, this is the output. So you can put one statement or you can put multiple statement inside the if block. So if you have only a single statement, you don't require these braces. Okay, curly braces are not at all required if you have only single statement under this condition. If you have multiple statements, then you have to keep them in the curly braces like this. And one more thing is you should not put any semicolon here. Okay, so you should not put any semicolon for conditional statements. So if you have only one statement, just you don't need have these curly braces. And if you have multiple statements, you should include them in the curly braces. So this is the first condition. Suppose if this condition is not true, suppose n divided by 2, which is producing other than 0, then this condition becomes false. And if the condition false, then I have to execute one more block called as the else block. So here I will write system.out.println. Okay, so system.out.println. Here I will say number is odd number. Okay, so this is how we need to check the condition. So if else condition statement we have to use like this. Based upon certain condition, if you want to execute some set of statements, and if the condition is true, this statement will execute. If the condition is false, the else block will execute. But at a time, it will execute either if block or else block. Okay. Now let us execute this code. Run as Java application. So now it is saying even number. That means if condition is true, and then this block is executed. And suppose I'll change the number. Let's say 11 here. Now 11 divided by 2, which will produce 1 as a reminder. So not only 1, other than 0, whatever it is produces, the condition becomes false. And then else block will execute. So this time I am expecting number should be odd. So let's run as Java application. So now you can see number is odd. So at a time, only one block of statement will execute, either if condition block or else block. Okay, so this is a simple if else statement. How to use this if else statement? To check certain condition, we need to go and use if else condition. Okay, so let's see one more example. So I want to find out largest of or greatest of two numbers. Okay, I will take two numbers and the program should say which one is a greater number. Okay, so let me just create another example. New class largest of two numbers. So you can just put some number also within the class. In the middle you can use numbers also, but The class name should not start with the number. Okay, then main method, then finish it. So now I have just created largest of two numbers class. So here I need to find out, first of all, I need to create two numbers. Let's say integer x is equal to 100 and other number integer y is equal to 200. So I have declared two different variables, x is equal to 100, y is equal to 200. Now I need to find out which one is the greatest number or which one is the largest number. So logically, how we can verify this? If a is greater than y, then x is largest. Or if suppose if x is greater than y, x is largest. If not, then y is largest. So only one condition we need to verify here. So let me just put if x equal to, so double equal to is a logical operator, sorry, relational operator. It will compare two numbers, and single equal to is a assignment operator. So equal to will assign some value to the variable, whereas double equal to will compare the values, they are equal or not. So x is equal to, suppose x greater than y, I'm saying condition x greater than y. So x is 100, y is 200. I want to find out which one is the greater. If x is greater than y, when this condition becomes true, if the x value is greater than y, then this condition becomes true, because relational operators always returns a boolean value that is true or false. So here, as per the values we have sent here, this condition become false. If this condition true, then what I should do print is, I should say x is the largest number. System dot out dot print ln. So here I say x is largest number. Okay, and suppose if the condition is false, obviously we have another number, y is largest. So I can just one more condition. Here I can say system dot out dot print ln. Here I can say y is largest number. Okay, so at the time only one condition will be true, either this one true or false. And if the condition is true, x is largest. If the condition is false, else block will execute and it say y is largest. Now I say x is 100, y is 200. So as per my values, the condition become false. So it should say y is largest because y is 200. Now let us run this code. Now we can say y is largest number. And let's interchange this number. Let's say 200, this is 100. Now it should say y x is largest. Okay, so this is how we need to find out the largest of two numbers. So for example, I want to find out largest of three numbers. So multiple conditions I need to keep, right? So if we have a three numbers, then how we can write largest of three numbers. So here we need to also use logical operators along with the relational operators. So if you have only two numbers, we can easily find out with one condition is enough. But if you have a three numbers, we have to compare each number with other two numbers. So multiple conditions are required. So when I want to use multiple conditions, we need to use multiple if conditions and else statement. Let us see how we can find out the largest of three numbers. So first of all, let us think about the logic. Okay, so let us say I have a three number. Let's say a comma b comma c, or we can say x comma z, y comma z. So I have a three numbers. So I need to find out which one is the greatest number among these three. So logically, if I say first, let us take x value. If x is greater than y and z both, then obviously x is the largest. X is largest number. Okay, this is the first condition. X should be greater than y and also greater than z. Then x is the largest. Similarly, let us find out y. So take the y value. So y is greater than x and also greater than z. And then y is largest number. Y is largest number, logically. And if x and y is not largest, obviously z is largest number. Z is largest number. Okay, here also if you want to put, you can put the condition. Z is greater than x and y. Okay, then z is largest number. So this is the logic behind this. So same logic we can implement in programmatically by adding multiple if conditions. So how many conditions we required? 1, 2. So the last one we don't require any condition. We can put that into else block. Okay, but at least 2 if conditions we required here. Now let me just create one more class. This time I'll find out largest of 3 numbers. Take this class and I will say largest of 3 numbers. Take this main method, then finish it. So here I'll take 3 numbers. Integer a is equal to 10 and integer b is equal to 20, integer c is equal to 30. So now I have taken 3 different variables which contains 3 different values, 10, 20 and 30. Now the first condition is if, and here I need to verify multiple conditions. You can observe here x greater than y and also x greater than z. Okay, both the conditions true, then x is largest. 2 conditions are involved here. But how we can write it programmatically is the first condition if a greater than b, okay, a greater than b is one condition, and is a logical operator, okay, and a greater than c, okay, 2 conditions are kept here, a greater than b and a greater than c, and if both are, when this AND operator will returns true, if both the expressions are returns true, then only the final condition becomes true. In the previous session I have talked about these logical operators, AND or not. So AND operator will returns true if both the values are true. So a greater than b should be true, a greater than c also should be true, and then only final value will be true. If the final value will be true, then only this if condition becomes executed, or if condition will execute. So a greater than b and a greater than c. Then I can say here a is the largest number. System.out.println. I can say a is largest number. Okay, so this is the first condition. So we covered 2 conditions in the one if condition. Now the second step. So first step is done. If a greater than y and z, that means a greater than b and c. The next condition is, okay, else I need to check one more condition. Then use one more if statement. This is called as nested if else statement. So nested if else means we can have multiple if conditions. And in the previous example, we have only one condition, one else block. So else block will be always 1, okay? But if condition can be any number of if conditions we can write. So if the condition is not matched or it returns false, then it will verify the another condition. Else if we have to give some space here, okay? Else, one more condition. If this time we need to verify the b greater than a and b greater than c, okay, then what should happen? It should print b is the largest number. System.out.println. Here I can say b is largest number. B is largest number. So this is the second condition. Even if the second condition is not true, then what else? Finally we have only one condition, that is C only. So here we don't need to put any other condition. So directly in else block we can write system.out.println. Simply you can say C is largest. Okay, because how this condition statement will execute means, first it will check the first condition. Okay, if the first condition is matched, then the first message is printed and it will ignore the rest of the conditions. Okay, here itself it will get stopped. And when it will come to the second condition, if the first condition is not true or it returns false, and then it comes to the second condition. So if the second condition is true, then it will print B is the largest number. Even if the second condition is not true, then finally comes to the else block. So if first condition checks whether A is greater or not. If it is not, then second condition will check B is greater than or not. If not, then obviously C is a greater. So because we have 3 numbers. So at the else part, so here we don't need to put any other condition. So directly we can write else block, and here you can say C is largest number. So this is how we need to write the logic. So first we need to frame the logic, and then we need to think about how we can put that logic into programmatic way by using conditional statements. So this is called as a nested if-else statement. So we can have multiple if conditions, else if. We can write multiple if-else conditions. Okay. So I'll show you one more example. Clearly we can understand. So let me just run this program, and now we can say C is largest number. So C is 30, so it is saving C is largest number. Suppose I'll make A is 50. Now A should be largest. So run this. We'll say A is largest number. Suppose I'll say B is 100. Now it should say B is largest number. So according to the logic, it will check the conditions, and if the first condition is true, and then say A is largest number. If the second condition is true, say B is largest, and if none of the conditions are not true, finally else block will execute. It says C is the largest number. So this is how we need to write. This is how we need to use if-else condition statement. So if you want to execute set of statements based upon certain condition, we can execute. Okay, or else block will execute. So this is all about if-else condition. I will also show you one more example for if-else condition. So my problem statement is, so take or I'll just give some input as week number. Okay, input is a week number, and accordingly I need to print the name of the week. So for example, when I say 1, the program should print Sunday. When I say 2, the program should print Monday. So like this, I want to verify 1 to 7 weeks. So I will just give some number between 1 to 7, and then it will give you the name of the week. Input a week number, then print name of the week. Name of the week. So here I will use nested if-else statement. Nested if-else statement, just like a previous example. Multiple if conditions we require. Okay, let's see how we can do this. Let's go to another class, right click, new class, and here I'm just going to demonstrate nested if-else. Okay, nested if-else. So if you have more number of conditions, how we can handle nested if-else. Take the main method, then finish it. So first of all, I need to have a number, week number. Let's create a number variable, integer. Okay, so here I can just create day. Okay, let's say day is equal to something called, for now just I'm putting only 1. So I can just take 1 to 7 numbers. If I provide as input like other than 1 to 7, it should say invalid week number. Okay, that should also I need to validate. Now let us see. So when I pass a number, it should give a week number. So how we can write multiple conditions here. So the first condition will be if day is equal to 1, then I should print system.out.println, okay, Sunday. If the day is equal to 1, and then I'll print Sunday. Okay, this is the first condition. If the day is equal to not 1, so then I'll put one more condition. Else, if again day is equal to 2, okay, again you can put system.out.println, and here I can say Monday. Okay, so like this we can add 1 to 7, all the conditions. Day equal to 1, it is Sunday. If the condition is false, then it will come to the next level. And the day is equal to 2. Even if this condition is not true, then it will come to the another condition. So else if day 3. And similarly, else if day 4. And else if day 5, day 6, and day 7. Okay, so now we covered all the week numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Suppose if I given some different number other than 1 to 7, if I give 10 or 15 something, so none of the condition is not matched. Then finally, I will print invalid week number. System.out.println. Here I'll just print invalid week number. So this should also we should handle invalid week number. That's it. So now here I have created multiple conditions here, but how this will internally execute is, first it will start from the first condition. If the first condition is true, it will print this message, then it will exit. It will ignore the rest of the conditions. And if the first condition is not matched, or first condition is returns false, then it comes to the second condition and it will match, then execute it and it will come out. Even if the second condition is not matched, then it will go to the next level. So what we understood here is, between 1 to 7, wherever the condition is matched, it will execute that particular statement and it immediately exit from the conditions. It will not execute the rest of the conditions. Okay, but when this else block will execute, if none of the conditions are not true between 1 to 7, then finally else block will execute. So here we no need to put any other conditions. So this is called as a nested if else condition. So we can have multiple conditions like this. Okay, so in the previous example, what we have seen is, this is also nested if else statement, but we have put multiple conditions in single if statement. So this is one condition, this is another condition, including logical operators. But in this example, every condition is different. Every condition we have split it into multiple if conditions. Okay, so this is actually nested if else statement. Now let us execute and see. So for now, I'm just passing only one and run as a Java application. Now I can say Sunday. So perfectly right. And when I say 7 here, and then only this particular condition will be matched and it should say Saturday. Okay, so Saturday. And when I say some invalid number 10, so none of the condition is not true, then finally else block will execute. Now run as Java application. Now it's a invalid week number. So this is how we need to write nested if else statement if you want to validate multiple conditions. Okay, very, very useful. Now, so we have so far discussed if else condition and nested if else condition. If you have multiple if condition, how we can handle. So the next one we have is switch case statement. So this is also comes under conditional statements or selection statements. So when we need to go for switch case statement, if you have else if else condition, then why we need switch case statement? So sometimes what happens is, here, let's say this example, here we have n number of conditions, right? So if you have 4 or 5 conditions, nested if else condition is fine. We can use it. Suppose we have a 30 statement, 30 conditions or 100 conditions we have. Then if I start writing your if else condition like this, it will be very huge. So program will become very, very huge, and you have to write a lot of lines of code. It will increase the code basically. Okay, so in real projects, in the real time situations, we should avoid the more number of lines. So we have to achieve the task with the minimal number of lines or minimum code. So that is the standard we have to maintain. So if you have n number of conditions like this, like 10, 20, 30 conditions, instead of using nested if else statement, we can just go for switch case statement. So that will reduce your code. The same logic, same thing we can implement by using switch case statement. It will reduce your code basically. Okay, so now I'll show you how much code it is reduced. So if I create the same logic by using switch case statement, let's see how much code is reduced. So when I use nested if else statement, almost it is taken 40 plus lines, right? So same logic, if I implement by using switch case statement, let's see how many lines we can reduce the code. So let me just introduce switch case statement. So the next conditional statement is switch case. So the syntax of switch case statement will be like this. First we need to use switch keyword, and here we need to put the variable, and inside the switch block we need to write multiple cases. Let's say case 1 and then statements, and case 2 and then another set of statements. Okay, and so on. So we can write any number of cases. Finally, default block should be executed. It is just like a else block. Okay, if none of the cases are not matched, finally it will come to the default block. And for every case, After completion of the statement, we have to use a break statement. Break statement mandatory required. I'll tell you why break statement is required. For the default block, we don't require the break statement. Okay, so this is a syntax of switch case statement. Now, I'm going to implement the same logic whatever we have created of printing weak names. I'm going to implement the switch case statement with the same example. Now, let's see how we can implement. So, new class, and here I'm taking switch case statement. Switch case demo. Take this main method, finish. All right, so now I'm going to implement the same logic, but this time I'm going to use switch case statement. Let's see how we can use switch case statement. So I'm taking a number, it's an integer, day is equal to, let's say 1. Now I'm going to write a switch case. It's very, very simple. So let's say switch, this is a keyword, switch, and here we need to specify the variable. What is the variable we have used? Day is a variable. And inside this block, first we need to write a cases. Let's say case is also keyword. 1. So what does it mean is, if the day value is 1, then I need to execute this statement. System.out.println. I'll just print Sunday. Okay, this is a statement, semicolon. And in the next line or in the same line, you can say break statement. Break is another keyword. So I'll tell you why the break statement is required here. So every case, we have to print this message and immediately we have to use a break statement. And the semicolon is representing the end of the statement, right? So that's the reason we can also put this break statement on the same line. Because when I say semicolon, the line is ended. So that means you can also write the another statement in the same line. Okay, it will consider as a 2 different lines. Or you can also write this break command in the next line. Or if you have multiple statements, you can also write multiple statements inside the block. Right, so the first condition is done. So now, suppose if the day value is not 1, then case 2. Case 2 means if the day value is 2, then I will print system.out.println Monday. This is another condition and followed by break command. Similarly, we need to also write 3, 4, 5, 6 till 7. So case 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for every case, I printed proper week name and along with the break statement. Suppose if the day value is not matching with 1 to 7, then default block will execute. Default colon, and here I'll say system.out.println. Here invalid week number. Invalid week number. Here we don't require break statement. So let me just execute this and show you. Run as Java application. Now you can see I say 1 here. So first case is matched. So Sunday is printed. So when I say 5 here, run as Java application. Now Thursday is printed. So 5 cases Thursday. Similarly, when I say 10 here, and then none of the cases are not matched, finally print invalid week number. So how this condition statement will execute? So first it will take this variable value 10 and it will match with all the numbers one after another. So for example, first case 1 is matched, then I have printed this message. What this break command will do is it will just stop checking other cases. Okay, as soon as the first condition is matched, I don't need to again check the rest of the conditions. If I don't use this break command, what happens is it will go and check the other conditions also. Okay, I don't require to that because the first condition itself is matched. I know rest of the conditions will not match anyway. So I just come out from this switch block so that I have to use break command. So if I don't use break command for every statement, it will check the condition. Even though the condition is true, then again it will go on to the next statement. It will check the rest of the statements. So to avoid that, I have to use a break statement after completion of each and every statement. Okay. And default block, we don't require break because after default block, we don't have any more lines. This is the last condition, right? After this, we don't have any lines of code. So we don't require any break command here. But the rest of the cases, we require the break command because after this statement, we have few more statements also there. So to avoid the execution of those statements, we have to use a break command. Okay. So if the case 1 is true, then the statement executed printed Sunday, and then immediately it is break, means it is come out from the switch block. Similarly, every statement will execute. Okay, so this is called as switch case demo. So when I say something different number 2, then it will print Monday. Okay, so if you see here, this program is almost completed within 20 lines, 20 plus. But if a same code, if I write by using nested if else, almost it's taken 40 plus lines, right? So that's a major advantage of switch case statement. So to reduce the code, if you have more number of conditions, you can just write multiple cases like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Okay. So this is how we need to use switch case statement. This is how we need to use switch case statement. All right. So far we have discussed about conditional statement or selection statement, if else and switch case. So by using these examples, I'll just give you a few more assignments and today, and you have to use switch else, if condition else statement and switch case statement, and you can try those assignments. Then we'll move on to the iterative statements or looping statements. So sometimes we need to repeat the same set of statements multiple times. Okay. So for example, I want to print 1 to 10 numbers. Programmatically, when I execute my program, it should print 1 to 10 numbers. Right. So how we have to print 1 to 10 numbers? We have to write normally, if I don't use any looping statements, we have to print system.out.println 1, then again system.out.println 2. Then like this, I have to write 10 different system.out.println statements, or 10 print statements I have to write, right? So I want to print 100 numbers. Then 100 statements I have to write like this. So it is again repetitive task, right? So what I'm doing every time here is I'm just printing one number, and every time I'm incrementing one number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like this. So what I want to do is I just write only one statement. I'll execute the same statement every time, multiple times I will repeat. When I'm repeating the statement, I will increment this value every time. Okay. So again, I will also put certain conditions. So print only 1 to 10 numbers, or print only 1 to 100 numbers. I'll specify the initial value, and also I'll specify the maximum number. And between these two numbers, I will print each and every number as an output. So, but with single statement. So how we can achieve this? So this can be achieved by using a looping statement. Okay. So here the loops will come into picture. So looping statements are used for repeat the statements multiple times till certain condition become false. Okay. So what I can do here is the simple logic. So I want to print 1 to 10 numbers. This is my requirement. So what is the starting value is 1. This is the starting value, and ending value is a 10. So what I will do is I will just initialize a variable called I, some variable. So I'll start I equal to 1. Okay, now I'll print the I value here. I value I will print. After that, I will increment the I value by 1. So I value becomes 2. Then I will again execute the same statement. And then I'll increment the I value becomes 3. Again execute the same statement. So how many times I need to execute like this? Till it reaches 10. Right? So this is the maximum condition. So the condition is I less than or equal to 10. So this is the condition. And what is the initial value of I is 1. So this condition should be matched. So as soon as this condition is false, then I have to stop printing the numbers. Until it reaches I value reaches till 10, I want to print the each and every number. Okay. So let's see how we can do this by using looping statements. So in Java, we have 3 types of loops are available. So one is while loop, the other one is do while loop, the other one is for loop. These are the 3 looping statements are available. While loop, do while loop, then for loop. Now let's see how we can use these looping statements. First one is a while loop. So the syntax of the while is this one. So while, we have to put the condition. As I said, 3 things here. One is initialization, second is a condition, Then we have to increment this value every time, then incrementation. So every loop should work based on three things. One is initial value we have to tell, condition we have to tell, incrementation we have to say. Okay, so three things are mandatory required. So here the condition we have to put here. Inside this we have to write the statements. So one statement or multiple statements. Okay, so before starting while condition itself we have to initialize the value, and within the while loop itself we have to increment that value. So I'll show you with example, then you can understand. So this is basically syntax of while loop. While condition, open brace and closing braces, and here we need to put the statement, and don't put the semicolon here. Okay, so if conditions, while conditions or looping conditions don't have any semicolons at the end of the line, and rest of the statement should end with the semicolon. All right, so this is your while loop. Let's see how to use this while loop. I want to print 1 to 10 numbers. Print 1 to 10 numbers. I want to print 1 to 10 numbers. So by using while loop. So let's see how we can do this. I'll create another class, and I'll just say while loop demo. While loop demo. Take this main method, then finish it. So here my requirement is I want to print 1 to 10 numbers, but I don't want to write print statements multiple times. So the single statement I will write, but I will repeat the same thing in multiple times. So how we can do this? First one is we have to initialize the starting position. So what is the starting value is 1. So let's take a variable called I, and the starting value is 1. I representing just incrementation. Okay, you can use any other variables. So the starting value is 1. So this is a starting value or initial value. Initial value. Okay, then so here we need to write while the conditions, how many times we need to repeat this one till I becomes 10. Okay, till I value becomes 10, I have to repeat the same thing. So the condition is I less than or is equal to 10. I less than or is equal to 10. So I value starting from 1, every time it will increment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 should also match. As soon as I value becomes 11, then this condition become false. Then it will exit from this while loop. Now inside this, I will just print the value of I. System.out.println, and just print the value of I. Semicolon. So now observe what will happen. So initially I value is 1. Okay, and here 1 less than or equal to 10 condition is true. So it will enter into the while block. So this statement is executed. Now it will print 1 because currently I value is 1. Now it will again go up. Second time again it will check the condition. So still I value is 1. 1 less than or equal to 10. Condition is true. Again it will come here and it will print 1. So like this, what happens is every time this loop will repeatedly executes, and every time the condition is becomes true, and we are printing every time 1 like this. So how many times it will repeat like this? Because this condition never become false, right? So it will go to infinite loop. It will keep on printing 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It will go on like this. Your program will never exit. Okay, because this condition is always matching. If the condition is matching, this statement will keep on executing and printing the number. But if you notice, this is not incrementing. The same number it is printing again and again and again. Because every time the condition is becomes true. So what we have to do is, at some point of time, we have to make this condition is false. And then only the while loop will exit it. Otherwise, it never exit. But how we can make this condition false? So just we need to increment that value I plus plus. So yesterday we discussed about increment and decrement operators. I plus plus. What I plus plus will do? I is equal to, this is exactly equal to I equal to I plus 1. So I'm just incrementing the I value by 1. So now I value becomes 2 now. So now I value becomes 2. First time it is printed 1, and then I plus plus. I value becomes 2. So it will go up again. Now currently I value becomes 2. 2 less than or equal to 10. Condition is true. Now it will print I value. Now I value is a 2. Okay. Now again I plus plus. So it becomes a 3. So again it will go up. 3 less than or equal to 10. So the condition is true. Now again I value is 3 printed here. Now again incremented by 4. 4 less than or equal to 10. True. Then 4 is printed. Then incremented by 1. So 5. I value 5. So 5 less than or equal to 10. True. It is printed 5. So like this we'll go on repeating the same statement multiple times till it reaches 10. Okay. 10 is also matched. So I value 10. 10 less than or equal to 10. Condition is true. So 10 is also printed. Now again I plus plus. This time I becomes 11. So as soon as I becomes 11, then it will go up, check the condition, and now this condition become false. So 11 less than or equal to 10. So this condition is false, and then it will exit from the while loop. So by incrementing this value, we have to make this condition false at certain point of time. If I don't increment this value, this condition will always matches and it will go to the infinite loop. It will keep on executing. Your program will never terminate. Okay, so this is how we need to use while loop. So now let me execute this and it will print 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, 1 to 10 numbers. Starting value you have to specify. Initial value is required. Condition is also required, and incrementation. Here I am incrementing this value. So every time I need to increment this value. Incrementing values. Okay, so this is a simple example of while loop. Now, so what I want to do is, my another requirement is, I want to print only even numbers between 1 to 10. So I want to print only even numbers between 1 to 10. So I just change the same logic here. Let me just copy this here and I'll comment it here. This is multi-line comment statement. Okay, just commenting means this code will not execute at the runtime. So this will print 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, now I want to print only even numbers between 1 to 10. That means I have to start from 2, okay, and till 10. So that means 2 I have to print, 4, 6, 8, and finally 10. So these are the numbers I want to print, only even numbers. Only even numbers. So how we can change the same logic? See now. So what is the starting value here? 2 is the starting value. So initialized I is equal to 2. Okay, I is equal to 2. Now the condition is also same. So I less than or equal to 10. But here we have to change. So what I can do is, first of all, it will print 1. So first of all, it will print 2. So because the initial value of I is 2. So it prints 2 here. Once it is printed 2 here, next time I want to get 4. I want to print 4. That's the next even number, right? So what I can do here is, I can just increment that value by 2. So that means I is equal to I plus 2. Instead of incrementing 1, I can increment by 2. Okay. So then I value become 4. So now 4 less than or equal to 10. The condition is true. Then here I'll print I value, that is your 4. And then again it will come here. So I value already 4. So 4 plus 2, 6. The new value will be I is 6. It will go up. 6 less than or equal to 10. The condition is true. So here it will print 6. Then again it will increment by 2. So it becomes 8 now. So condition is again true. So 8 is printed. Now this time it becomes 10. So 10 less than or equal to 10. So again condition is true. So 10 is printed. Now I equal to I plus 2. So this time it becomes a 12. So as soon as I becomes 12, then the condition become false. So 12 less than or equal to 10. So the condition false. Then it will exit from the while loop. It will stop printing the numbers. Okay. So this way we will get only even numbers between 1 to 10. So 2, 4, 8, 10. Same thing, we can just slightly modify to print odd numbers. So if you want to print only odd numbers, just change the starting value as 1. Okay, so let's say 1, 3, and 5, 7, and 9. So these are the odd numbers. So if you want to print only odd numbers, just change the starting value as 1. Okay, then every time it will increment by 2. So it will increment by 2 means 3, it will become 3, next it will become 5, then it will become 7, and finally 9. So as soon as it becomes 11, this condition become false. Okay, so this time it should print 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Now let's execute this. Okay, now we got only odd numbers. Okay, so we can use this loop according to your requirement like this. And one more example. I want to print all the numbers in descending order. So for example, I want to print 10 to 1 in descending order, like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How we can print all numbers in decrement order? So let's see how we can do this. So let me just comment this. And I want to print numbers like this: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, and here it is stop. So to do this, we have to just change the logic. So here the starting value is the 10, right? So let's take integer I is equal to 10. Now let us write the condition. So this condition is very important. So I'll put the condition later. For now, I'm just printing the value of I. Let's say system dot out dot println and print this I value, right? Okay, now, so after printing this I value, so I want to keep on decrement this value. So first I value will become 10, right? Because initial value is 10. So after that, what I want to do, the next number I want to print as a 9. So how we can make I value becomes 9? I have to just decrement that value, right? So immediately what I will do is, instead of incrementation, I'll do just decrementation. So I minus minus means it will decrement the value by 1. So now I value becomes 9. So again it will go up. Check the condition and it prints a 9 here. So it will keep on comes like this, and as soon as it becomes 1, 1 is also printed. But here when we need to come out from this while. So our requirement is only 10 to 1. So as soon as I value becomes a 0, okay, as soon as I value becomes a 0, then I need to exit from this while loop, right? But how we can put the condition is simple. I greater than 0. This is the condition. So I value becomes 0. Now 0 greater than 0 condition become false. So all these numbers are greater than 0 only, right? So as soon as I value becomes 0, then it will go up and check 0 greater than 0. The condition is false. So then it will exit from the while loop. Now when I run this, it will print the values from 10 to 1 in descending order. Okay. So like this, we can just change the logic slightly and we can do multiple things like this. So based upon our requirement. Okay. So this is how we need to use a while loop. So this is one of the loop in Java. And in the loop, while loop, we need 3 statements. One is initialization, condition, and then execute. So first condition will check. First check the condition, and then it will enter into the loop. If the condition is false, then it will never execute the statements. Okay. And the same statement will multiple times it will repeat. So the same block of statement multiple times will repeat till this condition become false. So this is all about while loop. The next one we have a do while loop. Do while. Okay, so do while loop. So when we have to use this do while loop. So the syntax of do while is first do, it will start with the do. So these are the brackets, and here we need to put the statements. And inside the do, here we need to put the condition, while condition. And here also we need initialization, incrementation, condition. But the main difference between while and do while loop is, in the while loop, first it will check the condition. Okay, first it will check the condition, and then it will enter into the block and then execute the statements. But in the do while loop, first round it will not check any condition. It will directly jump into the block, execute the statement at least once, and then it will start checking the condition. If the condition is true, again it will go and execute the statements. If the condition is false, then it will exit from the do while. So in the while loop, first it will check the condition, then execute the statements. In do while loop, first will not check any condition. First round it will directly enter into the block, then it will check the condition. So that is the behavior of while loop, do while loop. Okay, let's see how we can use this. And I'm going to use the same example by using do while loop. It's very rare cases we use this. So let's say do while demo. Take this main method and then finish it. So I'm just using the same example, and this time I'm going to use do while. It's very simple. So initialization. So I want to print 1 to 10 numbers again. So I'll just print 1 to 10 numbers. Okay. So here I'll just say first do. Start with the do, and initial value should be there. So integer I is equal to 1. So integer I equal to 1. So now let's start with the do. Curly braces started, and here itself we have to write condition. What is the condition? I greater than or I less than or equal to 10. This is the condition. Okay. So here we need to write the statements. System dot out dot println. I'll just print the value of I here. Okay. So if you notice here, the first it will know you are not checking any condition. So that's the reason directly it will enter into the block and this statement will execute and then check the condition. And if the condition is true, then again it will go up and execute this statement. But here, every time we should also increment this value. If you are not incrementing this value, this condition always will match. So it will go to infinite loop. It will not exit from this loop. So every time we have to specify the incrementation part. So let's run this code and then it is executed. Okay, so 1 to 10. So this is how we need to just use do while loops. So this is exactly almost similar to while, but only the small difference between these two are in the while loop, first check the condition, then it will enter into the do. And in the do while, first it never check the condition, directly enter into the block, and then from the second round it will check the condition. So for example, I'll say 100 here. So now what happens? As per this value, this condition should never match, right? But still, this loop will execute at least once. See, now it is printed 100, but this condition is false. But still, it is printed value 100 because it is not checking the condition first. It's directly enter into the block and printed 100. Then it is incremented I value. It becomes 101. So 101 is not less than or equal to 10. So the condition is false. So that's the reason it is not executed these statements. Okay. So this is about do while loop. So in while loop and do while loop, we need 3 statements at least. One is initialization, condition, incrementation or decrementation. So these are the 3 things we required at least. Now we have one more loop called as a for loop. So in the for loop, we don't need to put 3 different statements. All 3 statements we can include within one single statement. And especially for loop will reduce the code. For loop will reduce that code. So let me just show you how we can use for loop. So the next one is for loop. So how to use for loop. And this is very important loop, and most of the times we'll use this one. So let me just write syntax of for loop and then we'll see how it will execute. The execution part is very important. Okay. So let me just write one for loop here. Let us say for is my keyword and bracket, and here we need to first write initialization. So this is initialization. Let's say I equal to 1, I equal to 0. So those initializations we have to do here. Semicolon. And the second session will be condition. Semicolon. Third section will be incrementation or decrementation. Okay, so this is the 3 sections we have. So within the single statement itself, we can include initialization, condition, incrementation. And now the for loop will start here, end here. So here we need to write all the statements. All the statements should be included here. Now how this will be executed? So first it will start with the initialization. First step is initialization, and after that it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then directly jump to the statements, and the statements will execute. After completion of the statements, it will go and increment this value. This is the fourth step. So this is the execution order of for loop. So first it will initialize the condition, then immediately check the condition. If the condition is true, then directly execute the statements. After the execution is done, then incrementation or decrementation will happen. And after incrementation or decrementation, immediately again check the condition. And if the condition is true, then again execute the statement. Again incrementation. Again check the condition. Execution of the statement. So here, initialization part will execute only one time, whereas the condition, incrementation, statements, these three things will repeat multiple times. So how many times these three will repeat till this condition becomes false? Okay, so till this condition becomes false, the same set of statements will execute. Conditions true, statements have executed, incrementation. Again condition check, statements executed, again incrementation. So these three things will repeat multiple times. As soon as the condition becomes false, then it will exit from the for loop. So this is the behavior of for loop statement. Okay, so initialization, condition, and incrementation should be part of one statement. Let us see how we can execute this. So I'll show you one example. So same example, 1 to 10 numbers I want to print by using for loop. Let's see how we can do this. Let's create another class. I will name it as for loop. Name method, then finish it. So here I no need to create multiple statements. So directly I can start writing for loop. And first one is initialization part. So here integer I is equal to 1, I'm starting, semicolon. This is the first part, first section. And the second section will be the condition. I less than or equal to, I want to print 10 numbers. So let's have 10, semicolon. Conditional section is done. And incrementation, I plus plus. This is the incrementation. Now if you notice here, initialization, condition, incrementation. So everything together in one line I have put here. So that's the main importance of for loop. So everything you can keep in single line. And now inside this body, I can just write a statement itself. System.out.println. You just print only value of path. And again, we no need to write incrementation here. Okay, so remember, in while loop and do while loop, here we have created like this. Incrementation and decrementation we have mentioned within the body. But here this time we don't require this, because as soon as this statement is printed, then it will go up and check the incrementation. It will increment that value and then again recheck the condition. If the true, again this statement will execute. So condition, statements, and incrementation. Again condition, statements, and incrementation. So these three things will keep on executing till this condition become false. Okay, so that is a execution order of for loop. Let's run this code and see. Okay, now it's printed 1 to 10 numbers. Fine. So I want to print the decrement order. So I want to print 1 to 10 numbers in descending order. So let's say 10 to 1. So then how we can do this? The starting value is 10. Starting value is a 10. And here instead of I plus plus, we need to do I minus minus. And what is the condition? The condition is I greater than 0. Okay, so now let's run this. It will print decrement order 10 to 1. Okay, so this is very, very simpler than while and do while loop. This is very simpler than while and do while. So we have n number of examples we can write. Okay, I'll just provide you a few more examples, and you guys can practice on this. But every example is not at all possible to explain in the class. So some examples I will give you, and some examples you guys can do as an assignment, and using these looping statements. Okay, we can write hundreds of programs, but it is very difficult to cover everything because we have only limited time. Within 10 sessions, we have to complete Java, right? So that's the reason I'm not going to show you more examples and just give you a few examples, just you can practice them. Only thing is you have to know how to use this for loop, while loop, and do while loop. That's more than enough. Okay. So these are all called looping statements. So we have seen while loop, do while loop, and for loop. So these are the three different looping statements we have. So while loop and do while loop is almost similar. The only difference is in the while loop first check the condition, then it will execute the body. And the do while loop, first time it will not check the condition, it will execute the body, then it will check the condition. And in the for loop, we have to specify the initialization, condition, incrementation, everything. So that is all about the for loop. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Last one is jumping statements. So here we have a two keywords called break and continue. So these are called as a jumping statements. Let us see how to use and where to use these jumping statements. Let's create another example. Simple, very simple. Let me just create another class and name it as jumping statements. Okay, then main method, then finish it. So here I will just write a simple program. Just observe this. I am writing one for loop. Integer I is equal to, let's create integer I equal to 1 and starting from 1, and my condition is I less than or equal to 10 and then I plus plus. So what this loop will do, it will print 1 to 10 numbers. So I'll just say system dot out dot println. I'll just print the value of I. Okay. Now when I run this code, it will print 1 to 10 numbers. So what is my requirement here is, so I value keep on incrementing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till 10. So as soon as I value becomes 5, okay, immediately I want to exit from this for loop, even though this condition is true. Okay, so my condition is 1 to 10. So until unless I reaches 10, it will not exit from the for loop. But my requirement is here is, as soon as I reaches 5 or I value become 5, I want to immediately exit unexpectedly, or I want to intentionally exit from this for loop. Then how we can do that? So I want to do that. If you want to do this, we need to just put one condition here. If I equal to 5, okay, then what I want to do, immediately I have to come out from the for loop. So use break command. Okay, now how it will execute. So first I value become 1. So condition is true. This is a for loop condition. This is a if condition. Both are different. Okay. So first it will, I value is 1. So condition is true. Then it will come here. It will check this condition. So this condition is false. I value currently 1. So 1 is equal to 5. Condition is false. So it will not execute break. So directly it will print I value is 1. Fine. So it will go up again. I value incremented by 2. So now I value is 2. 2 less than or is equal to 10. So the condition is true. So this condition is false. So it prints 2. So 2 will print, 3 will print, 4 will print. Now come to the 5. So now I value become 5. The above condition is true. The for loop condition is true. But here even if condition is also becomes true. So as soon as if condition is true, I is 5 equal to 5 true, then break command will execute. So what break command will do is, it will just stop incrementing the rest of the values. That means the break command will immediately exit from this if condition as well as for loop. If it is exit from the for loop, it never continue the rest of the values. So when I run this code, it will print only 1 to 4. So as soon as I become 5, it will exit from the for loop, even though the condition is true here. Okay, so this is called as a jumping statement, because we are jumping from the here to here directly out of for loop. We are jumping based upon certain condition, right? So that's a major need of break command. And if you want to exit from certain looping statement, even though the for loop is true, condition is true, then we have to use break command. And continue is exactly opposite of this. Let me just use continue. Same example. Same thing. Instead of break command, I'll use continue. So now what happens? So first time I value 1, condition is true. So if condition is not true, false. So it will print I value. So 1 it will print, 2 it will print, or let me just take 10, right? Okay, fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So 1 to 4 it will print as usual. So as soon as I become 5, the for loop is true, and even if condition is also true. When I say if condition is true, 5 equal to 5, what I am saying here, continue. Continue, I am saying. Continue means it will just skip this value and continue with the rest of the values. What are those rest of the values? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they are the rest of the values. But as soon as I value become 5, I'm saying continue means it will jump to the next level. It will not print this 5 here. And it will go to the next level, and the next value is 6. So this condition is false, and then it will start continuing with the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is how the continue will work. So continue is basically skipping this value. So let me run this code, and then it will print 1 to 10, but 5 is skipped here. Similarly, I want to skip few values here. So let's say I want to skip 3, 5, 7. All odd numbers I want to skip. Then how we can write the statement? If I equal to 5, or logical operator, or I equal to 7, or I equal to 9. So I want to skip these numbers. As soon as I value 5, so jump to the next level. As soon as I value 7, again jump to the next level. So 5, 7, and 9 I want to keep. I'm using OR operator. OR means either one of them should be true. Either this one or true, or this one or this one. Okay. So let's run this code. Now this time it will ignore 3 different values. So now 5, 7, 9. So these values are ignored, and rest of the values have been printed here. Okay, so this is how we need to use a continue statement. So continue statement also will skip or jump to the next level. It will ignore the current value. So again, we have to use break and continue along with the conditional statements. Along with the conditional statement. Even is the break command we have used in switch case statement, right? In the switch case statement also it is doing the same thing. Why you have used here break command? Because we have to immediately come out from the switch case block. So I don't want to continue the rest of the statements. So that I have used break command, it will come out from the switch block. So wherever you can use break statement, the purpose is same. So to immediately exit from the loops, we can go for break command, and to skip the specific values, then we can go for continue command. So these two are called as a jumping statements. Okay, so these are all called as a jumping statements. So we have seen while loop, we have seen conditional statements or selection statements, iterative statement, while, do while, and for loop, and then jumping statement, break and continue statement. So these are all called looping statements, selection statements, or jumping statement. Comes under control statements because we can control the code as per your expectation. We can just control the code. Okay. So this is all about today's session. I'll just stop it here, and we'll continue the rest of the things tomorrow. So today's session, we are going to learn about one more important topic from Java, which is arrays. Okay, so arrays is one more important topic we have. So let us discuss today arrays concept. So basically, what is an array? So that we need to understand. So normally, when I want to store some values into variable, we will specify the data type first, right? So for example, when I say integer a, right? So in this variable, I can store only a single value at a time. I can assign a single value at a time into this particular variable. And after that, if I assign the new value, so now the current value of a becomes 20. So the old value is gone. And similarly, if I assign another new value, so 20 is gone. So the latest value of a is 30. So that means whenever you create a variable, we can store just a single value at a time. It can be any data type, integer or float or double string, whatever. When I create a variable, I can store only single value at a time in that particular variable. Okay. So suppose I want to store multiple values into a single variable. I want to store multiple values into single variable. How it is possible? So this is possible using arrays concept in Java. So using arrays concept, we can store multiple values into a single variable. But if you store multiple values into single variable, how we can point those variables, how we can point those values, how we can extract those values, how we can store that values. So these are all different operations we can perform on the arrays. Okay, so let us discuss this concept today. So array is a collection of elements of same data type. Collection of elements of same data type. So that's the definition of arrays. Array is a collection of elements of same data type. So if I create an integer array, we can store only integer values. And if I create a string type of an array, we can store only string values, right? So that's the reason we say array is a collection of elements. Any number of elements we can store, but elements in the sense of values of same data type. So this is the important point. In array, supports only same data type of values. Now, in Java, we have two types of arrays. In Java, we have two types of arrays. One is single dimensional array. The second one is two-dimensional array, or also called as a double dimensional array or multi-dimensional array. So there are multiple names we have. So one is single dimensional array. The second one is two-dimensional array or double dimensional array or multi-dimensional array. So these are the two kinds of arrays we have in Java. Now, so let us see what are all operations we can perform on this Java. So first we'll start discussing this one like a single dimensional array, and then we'll go for two-dimensional. Okay. So single dimensional array. So let's start with the single dimensional array. So in single dimensional array, we are going to learn few things. One is how to declare an array. That means how to declare a single dimensional array. How we can add values to the array. That means how to insert a values into array. And how to find size of an array. So that means I have a 10 values I have stored in this array. How we will know whether 10 elements are there or 15 or 20 elements are there. So I want to find out the size of an array. So this is very important operation to read the data from array. Okay. So then read the values from array. So how we can extract that values from array. So array contains some values, but I want to read each and individual values and all the values. So these are the normal operations we perform on arrays. So let us see one by one practically and programmatically. First one is declare an array. So how to declare an array? So to declare an array, so we have to create like this. If it is a normal variable, we'll say data type, the variable name, and then assign some value, right? So this is a normal way of creating a single variable. If it is an array variable or single dimensional array variable, we have to create like this. First data type, variable name, and we have to give one square bracket. Okay, this is representing array equal to new int of again bracket. So this is a way of declaring an array. This is a way of declaring an array. So here we must specify some size. So data type array equal to new int of again data type we have to specify here also int of 5. So when I say 5, I can store 5 elements or I can store 5 values into the same variable. Variable is same, but it contains a multiple values. So when I say 5 here, this is called as maximum index, or this we can say size. This is a size of an array. So when I say 5, how many values I can store is totally 5 values I can store. But how we can recognize those 5 values is every value is identified by an index number. Okay, every value is identified by index number. So when I create an array like this, internally in the memory, it will allocate 5 different locations to you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations will be allocated. So this all the locations will be represented by one variable called A. So now 5 locations we have. Each and every location we can store different values of same data type. Suppose I can store 10 here, 20 here, 30 here, 40 here, and 50 here. So array is a variable which contains a multiple values of same data type. But how we can representing these variables or how we can representing these values? Suppose I want to extract a specific value from this array, or I want to store some value inside this array. So we need to address these values. So how we can address them? So every location will identified by using index. So index will start from 0. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So this is called as an index or address of the element inside the array. So index number will start from 0. So if you want to extract this value, I must specify a of 0. So a of 0 means it is representing the first position or first location. Similarly, if I say a of 4 means it is representing the last position. Last position. Okay. So when I say size is 5, the starting index is 0. The ending index will be 4. That means if I say n is a size, the ending index will be n minus 1 always. Because it index is starting from 0, the maximum index always will be n minus 1. So when I say size is n, the maximum index will be n minus 1. But still, we can store 5 values. It is starting from 0, so it is ending with the 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So totally we can store 5 elements. Okay, so this is how array internally works. Whenever you create an array like this, internally it will allocate the size based upon the number we have passed, and we can store those many number of elements. Okay, so let us try to do certain operations on this particular array. So on array, we can perform these kind of operations. So how we can declare an array, how to insert values into array, how we can find the size of an array, and then how to read values from array. And if you want to read a specific value, I can read it. Or if you want to read all the values, still we can read them. Okay. And there is one more for loop especially designed for data structures. That's called as an enhanced for loop. Enhanced for loop or for each loop. For each loop. Yesterday we have discussed about 3 kinds of loops. One is while loop, do while loop, and for loop. Right. So these are all normal loops. But especially for the data structures like arrays, hash map, array list. Okay, for these kind of derived data types, we have a special for loop is designed. So that is called enhanced for loop or for each loop. So I'm going to discuss this kind of loop today. So whenever you are working with arrays or list or hash map or these kind of data structures, you have to use for each loop. Okay, this will be very, very simple. You can still use classic for loop, but it is little complex. And when you come to for each loop, it will be very, very simple. I'll show you both of them at the time of reading the arrays and storing the values. So I can just use these looping statements. Right. So now let us see an example to perform these operations. Let's go to Eclipse. Okay. So in the Eclipse, I'm just open our project, whichever I created last class. So here, today is day 4. I'm just creating a new package, day 4. Then finish it. And now I'm just going to create a new class today under day 4. And I'm first discussing about single dimensional array. Single dimensional array demo. Take a main method, then finish it. Alright, so now let us see how we can start doing all these operations on arrays. The first operation will be declaring array. Let me put all these points here. Okay. So first we need to declare an array. So how to declare a single dimensional array? So first we need to specify the data type and then array name equal to new again data type and bracket, and here we need to specify the size. So let us say 5 is my size. So I can store 5 values into array. So this is called as a declaration. This is called as a declaration. So once you declare this, how we can insert the values into array? So if you want to insert values into array, we can refer the every location with the index number. So when I say 5, what is the starting index is 0, the ending index is 4. So if I want to store some values, let's say a of 0, I'll put some number called 100. So now the first position is occupied with 100. Similarly, I can say in the first position, second position is 200. And similarly, I fill with values all the locations. So a of 2, I'll make it as 300. A of 3, I can say 400. A of 4, I can say 500. So if you observe here, I have just stored 5 different values into 5 different locations. So every location is identified by index number. So this is how we need to insert a values. Inserting values into array. So you cannot store more than 5 elements because this is called as a fixed array. Fixed array means here, based upon the size, you can store only those elements. But you can also store less number of elements. Suppose you define 5, but you don't have 5 elements. I have only 3 elements, so I can just store only 3 values. Later, you can add few more values. But this array is allowed to you store only 5 elements or only 5 values of same data type. Okay, so this is a way of declaring an array and inserting values into array. So in this particular approach, we cannot store dynamic values, like we cannot store values more than 5. So this is fixed array. This is your fixed array. But now suppose if you don't know the size of an array, suppose this time at the first time I need only 5 elements, but later my values are increased. So in that case, my array should be able to handle a number of values, more number of values. But if I say size is fixed here, it cannot hold multiple more than 5 elements. But how we can handle this one? So there is another approach we have to declare and insert a values, and that is called as a dynamic array. So this is called as a static array. Static means size is fixed. Size is fixed and we can store only those many number of elements. We cannot store more than those elements. So the other approach is a dynamic array. Means we can store any number of elements. We don't need to specify any size. So if you know the size of an array, just go for this approach. Okay. If you don't know the size of an array, then go for this approach. This is another approach we have. So integer array name equal to, don't specify any new int or size, directly add one curly brace like this and put all the values whatever you want to store. Let's say 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. You can add any number of values like this. So based upon the number of values, internally the memory will be allocated. Okay, suppose here I have stored 5 values. Internally A contains 5 locations. When I say 10 values here, internally it will allocate 10 locations. So this is again dynamic. Based upon your number of values, the memory will be allocated to this particular array. Okay, so this is called as dynamic array. So here declaration and also initialization. All the values were directly initialized. With single statement, we have done this. Okay, so we can just go for the first approach or the second approach. If you know the size of an array or it is fixed, then go for the first approach. If you don't know the size of an array, if it is a dynamic, then go for the second approach. Okay, so here we declared array without specifying size. So this is called as dynamic array. This is called as dynamic array. Okay, so this is how the first point. Declare an array, inserting values into array. So first 2 points we covered. So declaring array, we have 2 different ways. One is a fixed array and the other one is a dynamic array. Okay. Now the third point is how to find size of an array. So here I have stored few numbers, right? We have stored some values. How we will know how many values we have stored? So we have a small method is available called length. So for example, A is my array variable dot length, A dot length. So length is a static variable we have in Java. So this will give you exactly how many values we have stored inside this array. So this will return some value. So we have to print that value. So input that into system.out.println of A.length. So this will give you a size of an array. Size of an array means how many elements we have stored inside the array. So this is called length function. So length. Let me execute this till here. Okay, so now it is saying 5. So totally 5 elements we can store because already 5 elements we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements we have. Suppose let me just remove the last 2. Okay, now it will give you 3. So this is how we need to find out size of an array. So this is very important to read the values from array. Suppose if you want to read all the values, first of all we need to know how many values have stored. Accordingly, we can write a simple for loop and then we read the data from the array one by one. Okay, so this is how we need to find the size of an array. So length is a keyword which is available to find length of a array. So the next one is how to read the values from array. Suppose I want to read a single value. I want to read a specific value from this array. Then we have to specify that by using index number. So let us say I want to retrieve 300. So what is an index of 300 is, this is 0, 1 and 2. So the index of 300 is 2. So I can just say a of 2. So this will give you the value is 200. So let's print this value. So I'll just printing system.out.println of a of 2. So if you want to extract a specific value, you can extract by using index number. So this will give you the value which is present in second location. So now we can see in the second position we have a 300. Second position in the sense as per the index. Okay, so index is start from 0. So 0, 1 and 2. In the second index position we have a 300. So this is how we can extract a specific value from array. So this statement extracts a specific